Hey, so you had Chris on last week.
We did.
He described it. I don't know if I'm going to describe it the same way, but here we go. So, Basil and Mobius is an urban fantasy series that would happen if Indiana Jones and James Bond teamed up to go do a series of missions for a Cthulhu monster disguised as a person. And they fight all manner of eldritch horrors and evil sorcerers from prehistoric times, and one very scary vampire ghoul lady who I created in my Story of the Machine, which is in one of the Basil and Mobius books. I think it's
because this series kind of sounds
Little
like it's
Hells.
an accumulation of the themes of all of the stuff we've covered so far.
Jarlaxle was kind of like my joke for all of that. And then finally, like when Sellswords came out, he was going to be a featured character. And I was thrilled until I realized I only had 4 months to write the book and I had no idea what he had for equipment.
Yeah.
Because it had just been one cameo after another. So I went on a message board anonymously. True.
Okay.
This was back before social media.
Right.
And before like the Forgotten Realms wiki and stuff.
Yeah, like
this
a
was
GeoCities forum or something.
Yeah, it was before all of that. I went in probably AOL message board or something, anonymously. And I said, hey guys, let's do an inventory of Jarlaxle's cool items. And 3 days later, I downloaded like a 10-page thread where people were like giving the page numbers in the books where he had this and that. And someone else said, oh no, he lost that here. And so I was looking it all up. I'm like, these guys are good.
That was my ton of the fans to tell you what's going on.
Yeah, that was my research.
You got to do a character from a very prevalent series known as the Dresden Files. You got to do a story from the point of view of Johnny Marcone. How the heck was that? Were you a fan of the Dresden Files before you got to that?
I've always been a fan of the Dresden Files. In fact, I think that was my favorite book series for a lot of years. And so Butcher's always been I've been a huge fan of Jim Butcher, especially Dresden. I think some of the other ones were pretty good, but they weren't my cup of tea. I really like Dresden. And so getting to do that was just nuts. And the reason why I went after that anthology, I auditioned for that anthology because I was looking for Butcher.
When you were writing the novels for something like Shadowrun and BattleTech or any of those, how much of the game system did you make sure to put into the writing? So if in D&D terms, if somebody throws a fireball and it's 20 feet wide and you need this spell component, do you put that in the story when you're writing the book, or are you just telling a story and forget about the system?
For me, the story was first.
Okay.
But the two universes were a little different.
Like we had 1 year to develop everything, which is, for folks who are not involved in this sort of stuff, that's real fast for a book that had to be like the requirements early on were just kind of laughable because we said, okay, it's got to be as robust as Pathfinder. And remember, Pathfinder's already like a 576 page book, something like that. It's got to be as robust as Pathfinder, but it's got to be easier to learn than Pathfinder. It also should have a bunch of setting material in there and like monsters and like, what if, and of course, starship combat. And so like we had all these must-haves and paginated it out. And it was like, guys, this is a 1,000-page, core rule book. And Eric's saying, that's great. We want all of that. And it needs to be shorter than the Pathfinder core rule book.
Wow.
So,
and in a month's time.
Yeah.
Cool.
You have a favorite class you play in World of Warcraft?
I always have a favorite class that's different every week, which is why I have 4 level 70 characters waiting for the next expansion.
Nice.
I like the Warlock. I use my Warlock for soloing because they're so overpowered. It's insane. I use my Paladin as my gatherer for herbs and mining because a Paladin, you can't kill them.
Yeah.
They're boring. It's a protection Paladin. You can't kill them. I'll stay alive. You're not going to kill me. But 3 hours later before I kill you, but I will.
since I last saw you. And I was like, yep, let's play. And it was super fun. It takes 2 minutes to play, maybe like 2 to 3 minutes to play. It's high stakes. You get some grills, and you're just trying to make the best sausages you can. Sausages have ideal lengths. You try to get them into the buns. There's no double entendres whatsoever.
No,
and
none.
So
we're here for it.
Yes. It is one of the more fun games I've ever made. It's stupid as heck, but it's really, really fun. And if anybody wants a copy, we put it and all of our other stuff on sale recently, which will last not too terribly long. So if you want a copy for not so many dollars, jump on our website at shop.loansharkgames.com and you can have your own sausage party in your own house.
Nice. The thing I'm still best known for, it was called Night Train, and it was about basically a drain full of vampires, and that one just captured everyone's imagination. And from there, I went to reading over one of the first source books they released, and then I ended up writing the second one, Hucksters and Hexes, and maybe the third, Fire and Brimstone, and then on from there. So it was something I had thought about getting into.
And those are some core books for that system. Like when you wanted to play the game, other than the main book, those books, those two that you just mentioned right now, those were huge content pieces for people that wanted to play certain roles.
But The Violence is about a world in which there's a new kind of pandemic in which people break out in random acts of animalistic violence. So it opens with a lady shopping in like a Costco, looking at a mayonnaise jar. She drops the mayonnaise jar, picks up a bottle of Thousand Island dressing and beats the nearest shopper to death with it, then drops the bottle and selects her mayonnaise and just keeps going. So that's how this pandemic works, is you randomly just kill someone and then move on with your life. Which of course throws America into chaos, because at first, you're like, well, how do we know who has the violence and who doesn't? People are dying. How do we help them? By the time we get to a 911 call, someone's already dead, and the person who did the violence is confused and has no idea it happened. And then, of course, that gives a very good way for a woman who's caught in a domestic abuse situation to get away from her abusive husband.
In the idea that instead of taking levels of other classes, there are specific feats that give you portions of what it would be to level up. So that way, if you're a level 10 sharpshooter, you're a level 10 sharpshooter, but you can also, with your feat picks, go out and take, say, the mastermind class abilities by taking the mastermind training feat, the advanced mastermind training feat.
Yeah.
And the advanced one gets you up to about the equivalent of level 7 or so in another class.
Like that with Munchkin Batman, because one of my favorite characters from the whole Batman mega story is King Tut. And I wanted to put King Tut in the Batman game that we did with Munchkin, but it turns out that he's part of a different licensing package. It just wasn't available to us. Oh well. Yeah, it was sad, but we got lots of stuff in there. It was great.
That's great. And that's the new one that just came out, right?
That's the new one.
How excited are you to show people this game? Is it something that's just like, are you a big comic book fan?
10, maybe 12, 14, something like that. I mean, I got to write dialogue for Batman.
Right.
John Kovalik got to be a Batman artist for real.
We'll put it into mass release soon. We're basically done with the fulfillment on the Kickstarter, but we're just making sure about everything that we have for that. But yeah, the Underworld will be the first new expansion for Lords of Vegas in 7 years.
Wow.
And that'll be great. And then we just got into it. We've now written about we've written 5 new expansions for the game in the last few months.
But putting it in a grave and then putting it in the ground, you think, oh, okay, everything will be safe. No, 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 no. The grave breaks down. Water gets in there. It freezes. When they open up a grave, even 10, 20 years down the line, maybe even 30, moisture gets in there. You essentially become bone soup.
I knew it. I knew that's where you were going.
Bone soup. Isn't that disgusting?
Let me get my spoon.
I loved Jarlaxle, and I'll tell you a little thing. I love his voice, and it's funny. I use a little trick for myself because you've got to remember the voices over.
Right, and there's so many in that series now.
So many, and it's over 10 years now that I have to remember. Sometimes a character will disappear for 2 books and come back, and so I won't tell you who it is, but I'm so bad at celebrity impersonations that I can do an impersonation and I'll use it, and that's what I did for Jarlaxle. And I get right to the voice instantly, but nobody has any idea who I'm doing.
Oh man.
So it's
now I'm gonna have to think about it every next time I listen to one.
You have to listen to it and think about it, but I don't think you'll ever guess it.
And it's so unique. It's one of this eye-catching style that when people walk by the booth and they just do like a double take and like, what is that?
Right.
And they just immediately have to just like touch the books, and it's not enough just to look at it. They just need to rub their hand on the cover. Oh, let me feel this art.
We were talking earlier off recording about saying naughty things on the stream, and so like I was like, can we go here? You were there from the get-go. Let's
I was there before it was Shadowrun. I was in Chicago for a meeting with the FASA crew, and we were out at dinner, and Jordan Weissman raised the conversation. Okay, what's going to be the next big thing? You know, because they were looking for another property.
Right.
And this was back in the 80s. So in terms of properties that were different at the time, I suggested Cyberpunk. This was before Mike Pondsmith did his Cyberpunk was out.
Right.
And Jordan wasn't too sure about that.
It's time to start the podcast. It's time to play some games. It's time to have some fun here on the Epic Show tonight.
We'll see some off the pod here. Enjoy some great alerts. We'll have a grand old time here watching Epic Realms tonight. We love it when we come here. We clip all of the screens. The chat gets kind of trolly on Epic Realms scenes. But that's an awesome part of the Epic family. So let's enjoy the show now and start another hype train. We'll see the spicy chips fly on the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, epicational. This is what we call the Epic Show.
Hello, friends and enemies, heroes and villains. Welcome to Epic Realms Presents Off the Pod. It's not a podcast. It's sort of a podcast, but it's not really a podcast because it doesn't do podcasty things, but we do some podcasty things, sort of show. Welcome in, everybody. I am Nick. Today, my wonderful guest, amazing guest, is the one, the only, you know him here on Twitch. You know him from the Black Collar Collective. Wino, welcome on in. How are you doing?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm doing pretty well. Let me get myself here. I'm slouching. Sorry.
Slouching happens. Slouching happens.
Yeah, it happens there. Doing pretty fantastic, though.
Awesome.
Happy to be on.
If you guys don't know Wino, go ahead in the title down there and click on his name and give him a follow. And we're also going to... What I'm curious, what prompted the W's, the UU for the Wino? Like what caused it? Like you had it and then like, this is a cool thing, but what was like, oh, hey, that's kind of neat, or?
So what it was, my previous username was Wino FGC, which stood for the fighting game community.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was boxing myself, my content into a single box with that name. So I was trying to find a more, just a Wino name, because I used to be I Am Wino, then I was Wino Gamers.
Yeah.
So I actually was able to actually shrink it down to just 5 letters now, and it looks cool. I mean, you stare at it long enough, it looks like a pair of boobs.
Oh yeah. Especially with the now that you mention it, especially with the graphics I used for your name.
Oh yeah.
The font that I used. I can't unsee that now. I can't unsee it.
First thing I noticed when the screen came on, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Oh, we're gonna get in so much trouble.
Absolutely.
Oh, we're gonna start a little early here. Starting it up a little bit.
Bentley's emotes came on there, and I said,
I pulled out the expensive one.
Rolling.
There we go. Ooh. Touchstone 4 square. We're gonna have a little drinky. So by the way, everybody who's here, if you're in here and you're like, what are they going to talk about? You'll see the first topic there is retro games. That is the first topic that we're going to be doing today, but it's not the only topic we're going to be doing. Hello, Wino. Thank you for sharing those. I'll be in my bunk.
I saw the lyric drop some boobs, and I was like, oh, I got boobs too.
It's an upside down heart. Shh, don't tell Twitch.
Oh, well, they're anime.
Yeah. Also, guys, we're going to be talking about fundraisers and charities. You guys know about the Black Collar Collective. Many of you know about the charities that Wino do. You know that I've participated in theirs. He's come over and worked with Movember. So we're going to talk about that, kind of running those events, how we put those together, that kind of stuff. So that's going to be another topic. And of course, alcohol tasting, because we both like the tasting of the alcohol, the sampling, the understanding, the sommelier of it all. Is sommelier just for wine, or is it like anything?
I think it was coined as a descriptor for wine consumption. I mean, it's not even really a word in other dictionaries, but it's just got picked up as just for wine.
For wine. Okay. And of course, we got the all-encompassing potluck. So if there's a topic we missed or something we touched on and you guys want to talk about it, or if there's a topic we talked about and we want to touch on it again, or if something just pops in our mind in the spur of the moment, this is the chaos round. The last round is the chaos round, where we just talk about whatever, and you guys join us for all that. Of course, as usual, you guys can join us in your conversations, your thoughts, your theories, your questions, any of that. Join us in the conversation, in the chat, and yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. So I'm excited to get into it. Into it. So let's start the first topic, should we?
Sure.
Because Sunstrider says you love Captain Morgan too. I don't love it, but do you love it? Wino?
I was gonna respond to that too. Actually, I used to drink that when I was younger with 7-Up. We called it Buccaneer Punch.
Yeah.
But after that, I found a different type of run. It was called Sailor Jerry.
Yeah, Sailor Jerry's got a lot more flavors to it.
Yep, I started drinking that, and I started getting hair on my chest, so I just stopped drinking it. But yes, the rum is good. That's it's usually gone.
Yeah, Sailor Jerry's is it's a little bit lower shelf, but it's got a lot more punch to it, a lot more flavor, I think, especially that like the vanilla-y hint to it. So like I've grown out of the spiced rums unless I'm using them for mixers, but you know. Everybody's got their own taste. As much as I like to poo Captain Morgan, people have their own tastes. There was a special sherry oak cask, special edition of Captain Morgan that I really liked. So there you go, guys.
You get the little captain in there.
We get a little captain in there. Their branding is great. I love their branding.
I was about to say the branding is great.
Yeah.
You see that knee get popped up everywhere. It's fantastic.
All right. So Wino, you do a lot of retro games, and I, I'm from the era of when games were retro, because I was there, when the original Pong and stuff started coming out. So, what is to you? What do you think is the kind of the era of a retro game? Like, what to you is considered a retro?
Let's say my retro games I always consider retro would be something that's a console with a plastic cartridge or chip that you would insert into another console to have it work, and also to be meant to be played on old CRTVs, the big tube TVs versus the flat screen. But that's
sometimes the ones that
innovation
just sit on the floor, and they're also considered a shelf because you can put all the kinds of shit on top of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, those right there. That's where like my stuff is. I've come from bits of Commodore up through Atari, and then all the way up until the 64 was probably the last one that was actually cartridge for me.
Yeah. Is that kind of where your cutoff is? Anything after 64 is not considered really retro?
Oh, I would even I don't even consider 64 bits retro actually.
Yeah.
I think 32 is where my cutoff is. Is there a 32-bit cartridge system? No, 16 bits probably where my cutoff is at, to be honest with you. Unless PC games, I guess PC games would be retro in that kind of way as well through the 90s.
Yeah.
As well. So I think that's where I cut off my retro stuff.
Yeah.
There.
For me, I think it depends on what era we're in. I'm a little originally I was very much gatekeepy on what is retro and what is not. But as time has progressed over the last 15 plus years, I think my concept of it has changed, mostly because the concept of time, changes. Like it's 2024 right now. When it was the year 2000, certain games were retro, right?
Yeah.
It's 20 years later. If I say that that's still the retro games, that's kind of that's kind of difficult for me. So it's like originally, I would have been like Nintendo and Super Nintendo to me originally were like retro, but now I think I would still put in like even the GameCube games now. I think I would consider kind of retro and old school. The original Baldur's Gates, of course, obviously those kinds of games I think to me would be considered retro. Hell, when did Tony Hawk Pro Skater come out? Those games were, to me, I consider some of those Tony Hawk Pro Skater pretty retro, and those were like I think PlayStation 2 and 3. So PlayStation 2, I think that was PlayStation 2 was those Tony Hawk Pro Skaters.
Yeah, I could go with that type of look at how retro games could be put into like a category as well. I guess just for me, it was just a time when I grew up. Like I said, it's just a particular time. It's just me growing up before high school.
Yeah, it's an era for our lives, and I think that's and you could just say, instead of saying like these are them, you could say retro is from an era of a person's childhood. That way you can put it for the perspective of everyone else.
That's absolutely true, because I have younger friends who like 64 and PlayStation 2 are their retro type of games. And when they see my type of retro games, they're saying it's just like, that's just really shit old.
There's an old school from Movember season that will be back in November. And thank you, Twitch, for following up on Roddy Mama's donation. Appreciate it. Purpley says Pac-Man, old school Pac-Man. Pac-Man, Mrs. Pac-Man.
Absolutely great one.
Mrs. Pac-Man was always good. What do you think is your go-to? So say you've got every retro game in front of you and you're like, I want to show somebody what is my childhood. What is the one retro game you can and will always go to in a pinch?
Man, that's a tough one there. Just go to in a pinch that everyone could actually just enjoy. I'd probably pick up something like
or something that you enjoy,
Brothers,
something that like
Mario Brothers series.
Yeah,
so
Mario
like
Brothers.
Mario Brothers 3, or even the original. Number 2, not so much.
Really? See, number 2 of the 3, number 2 was always my favorite. Number 2 is always like, because it just felt different, and like the music, there's something about it. And maybe it was the era as well. Like, thank you for that lyric. Thank you for that. There is like his, original Mario is the original Mario. You can't beat that. But then they came out with the second one. And then the third one was, obviously there's a lot of hype for the third one because they had built such a huge franchise, and they had that, what was that movie that came out?
Super Mario Brothers?
There was a movie that came out, and it was like The Whiz Kid or The Wizard or something like that. It was a video game. And the big challenge for the big video game finale challenge was, we're going to introduce a game that no one's seen before, and it was Super Mario Brothers 3. And of course,
That
Super
was a
Mario
fun
Brothers 3
movie.
hadn't been released yet when the movie came out, so it was super cool to see all those little spoilers.
Yeah, that was definitely a cool movie too. That's a good one. Mario 2 was it was a fun game. It's just like, I guess the concept at the time was so different from the original Mario that it was just
Yeah, it was a little different.
It was just a bit different.
It makes
It's
me
not
wonder
as
if
much
it was
of a
one of
somber-
those, like, we have this game and nobody is interested in it. Let's just replace the main characters with Mario characters and sell it to Nintendo. I wonder if that's because they did a lot of that, right? They did a lot of things where they took a game and they're like, let's just swap these characters and rebrand it.
I mean, that's just how that's how most things happen anyway in the way the world works during that time.
Yeah.
Just swapping out a character, and then it's just for people who don't like Mario's, here's a different character.
Right.
You know, I mean, I moved on to give birth to other side scrollers like Metroid and Castlevania.
Yeah.
And where they just start adding those type of badass Nintendo games, it was just like, wow.
My go-to is Ninja
I mean,
Gaiden. That's always going to be my go-to.
Ninja Gaiden.
I can always sit down. I don't care where it is. If somebody's like, we're gonna plug in an original Nintendo. What's a game you wanna play with? Play, and I'd be like, throw a Ninja Gaiden.
Oh man, that game makes me want to throw my controller across the room.
Really?
That one was a rough one. Yeah, because you're just jumping around and you get hit and you just fly.
You get knocked back, yeah.
You get knocked back and you can't do anything. You just watch yourself fall into a pit. You're just like, come on.
The birds would be like shoo shoo.
Yes, absolutely the worst.
Is there another worst, absolute worst?
Yeah, I'd give it another one in there. I'd call it Ghouls and Goblins. Remember that game?
Oh man, I love that game. Yeah, but it was a pain in the ass. It was a pain in the ass. I agree. It was a pain in the ass. Be right back. Incoming call. Okay, Roddy Mama, thank you. Mario,
I mean, they're absolutely fun. They're absolutely fun. And then, aside from those, for self-entertainment, I really enjoyed the Ultima series, Ultima Exodus.
Yes. Oh, really? You are again my new best friend. You keep so many people don't even know about Ultima Exodus, and I'm like, you mentioned that, I was like, oh my god, with the purple box, and yeah, that was. Yeah. I didn't even play. I didn't know what tabletop role playing is, or like I didn't know what D&D was when that game came out. That game, and now looking back, is like, no wonder I loved this game. No wonder I liked D&D, because that's what the damn game is.
Yeah, and I mean that just opened up RPGs to me, and experiencing that. You also had Dragon Warrior. Yeah. Of course, we're all talking about Nintendo games right now, but Ultima itself that was the fourth installment in the whole series, and you didn't know about that until you actually saw that the other previous two were done on PC.
Yeah.
And then the fourth was remastered onto the Nintendo, and you're just like, whoa, I gotta play the rest of them, and eventually just go back more in time.
Yeah.
And that gets even more retro in gaming, and then I mean. Yeah, Ultima series was really cool.
It was.
Especially the Nintendo one.
Welcome in, Nanvin. Hello. Yeah, Ultima was endless hours of playing that game and not knowing what the hell I'm doing. And looking back, I'm like, how the hell did I get to this other world? Looking back, like the amount of work you have to go through to get there, and being a kid that didn't know what these numbers meant or didn't know what I was doing, and to get there was, when you're like, oh, you just have to throw money in this little well that I found, and all of a sudden these numbers go up. Well, maybe that's how you win. Okay. Next thing I know, I'm like looking back. Next thing I have all my stats are maxed out.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, there's a little well if you go into there, like when you sink your ship, when you go into the whirlpool, and you sink your ship, you end up in this other world or whatever. There's portals there. There's little wells or portals or little things there for every single stat. And if you donate to them, the more you donate to them, the more your stats will go up.
Oh, wow. Didn't I know? I was just going through sheer grinding or just punching and fighting things.
Just have to go back and play again. I'll have to play that. Maybe I'll have to do a retro stream and do Exit. Well, we'll have to back to back. Like we plan it. We're like, I do it before you or you do it before me. And we just right into each other.
Yeah, that'd be. That game is takes a lot of time. And you know, back then on cartridge games, on like cartridge games themselves, they had to make them longer because they're really expensive back then. And just to get a cartridge game for a console, they're really expensive. So they made it really time consuming. So you figure you get your value in that game, or just make it really difficult.
What happened to those days where they were like, you know, we want to make sure that they get their value, not screw them over and take money and make them spend more money? What happened to those days?
The internet happened, right?
Right. I guess Baldur's Gate did that. The new Baldur's Gate game did that.
Yeah, every time I think Baldur's Gate, some of my old favorite ones back then on PC was Neverwinter.
Yeah.
You remember Neverwinter? I really enjoyed Neverwinter. And the classic Baldur's Gate as well. Yeah. I'm really glad that they took that style and just put it into the new Baldur's Gate. It's
right,
really
you still have a lot of those homages to it. Toasty Toasty says, yeah, you got to blow it. I mean, blow in it.
Yeah.
The little cartridge.
The t-shirt method, you know, put it under your shirt and just blow it.
Yeah.
Alcohol swabbies, you know.
You have to put it in, push it down, and then push it in further again to make sure it's all in there.
Yeah. There's a certain point where I started putting a like an eraser into the springer so it keeps it down lower than the original spring. I always thought that would actually work.
I watched a TikTok video that said you didn't actually have to push it down.
What?
I saw a TikTok video that you didn't have to push the game down and get it to work, and I was like, what? And I don't have one. My wife has one, but it doesn't work because we have to get it fixed. But I was like,
right?
What? Wait, what? You have to? You don't have to push it down? And it could have just been a clickbait sort of situation thing, but yeah. Feel lied to. Yeah, me too. I also feel.
If you really think about it, what really engages the cartridge into the system, right? It's just making those connectors connect.
Right. They have to connect to the other side.
So that it's like, it sort of does make sense. It's not half wrong, right?
Right.
I was just.
I feel lied to. I'm a testilator. Let us know if it works.
Oh yeah, Nevin. Appreciate that. Nevin's another retro player as well. Grew up during the Nintendo times, so
yeah, I've done a couple things. I have a Retro Pi, and I have all of the games, every game that ever came out, and then some on Nintendo. I have all of them on my Retro Pi, and every once in a while I'll throw it up on the stream, and I'll do some games. So I do enjoy those retro games. We played. Was it you did Wheel of Fortune, a Wheel of Fortune type game at one point during one of the Yeah, you did it during one of the raid trains. And so when I did a retro stream and I was like, Wheel of Fortune, I'm like, well, Wino did a Wheel of Fortune. That was a lot of fun. I'm just going to play the Nintendo version of Wheel of Fortune on the stream and just let people help me with the things. And that was a lot of fun. So, yeah.
I remember when you played that, actually, the pop culture related to those questions were so old that we're just like, who are these people?
Right.
And it was really annoying on that one. And actually, because I got the idea because I watched you play Wheel of Fortune. So I did a program that automated like layerings to turn on and off based on chat's responses. So it looked like we were playing Wheel of Fortune, but I just made it my own.
Yeah. But it was
I got the inspiration through you, though. Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you're an inspiring person, I think.
Are there any other iconic, maybe non-Nintendo games that you think are like super iconic that doesn't get the credit that it deserves?
Yeah, I mean, if we go into what followed Nintendo, let's say Genesis was a console that followed after Nintendo.
Yeah, and this goes for chat too. If there's an underrated game that you think is iconic that should get more attention, let us know.
Iconic, more attention though. I mean, everything gets pretty good attention. Like Altered Beast, always super classic. So Willow was probably another one. That game's
I never played.
Really difficult but good. Fantastic in the arcade as well.
One of the Sega games. One of the Sega consoles, I don't know if it was Sega or Sega Genesis, you didn't need a game. It had one game built in that if you didn't put a cartridge in, it would still play a game. And I don't remember what it was, but I just remember it was super cool to be able to just play this game just out of the blue without a cartridge.
Ooh. That wasn't Genesis with Sonic, was it? Was it the Master System?
Was it the Master System? It might have been the Master System.
that's like a Nintendo. That's the Sega Nintendo equivalent, from what I understood. I actually never played on the Master System before. Have you?
I played on it. I didn't own it, but I knew a couple people that played it. Like I'd go over to their house, because I'd go over to people's houses, especially like if my mom would drag me to someone's house and I had to be babysat or stay with somebody, and there were a bunch of like older kids that didn't know whatever, I would just swipe their gaming system and I would just play whatever it was. And so I couldn't find, that's how I remember, because I couldn't find any of the cartridges and everybody was gone. I could get it turned on, and then I was like, well, this sucks. And somebody just said, just turn it on. One of the adults said, just turn it on. They play it without a cartridge all the time. And I was like, what? And so I turned it on and there was a game. And I was like, okay, works for me.
Yeah, to add on to that was such a time before where you would find the cool kid who had like the newer system that you didn't have, and go make friends with them, go to the house and play on that system.
Yeah.
It's not like nowadays anymore, though, of course. It's so far different from current gaming to how it was growing up gaming.
The big one where we did that was, and you'll appreciate this story. I was kind of new. I was the new kid, but some of the neighbors I had kind of gotten to know after we had moved into this new place. And so we would go over to their house to play, and we'd get like, picture middle school, and you have like 9 middle schoolers taking turns on a Super Nintendo, and all we did was play Street Fighter.
Oh,
but
awesome.
the kids up the road, who was a completely different group of friends, completely different group of kids, they never crossed over. They were all the Mortal Kombat kids.
Oh man!
But I could go to both, so I would play one, and I'd be like Street Fighter over here, Mortal Kombat over there, and I was like, how weird is this? That like they don't even know that the other group exists, but also that Street Fighter Mortal Kombat collision. It's like Star Trek versus Star Wars.
Exactly.
And I was like, oh my god, this is so great. And then I wanted to be the cool kid. I was like, well, I'm going to get in on this trend. And then the game Killer Instinct came out, and I'm like, I'm going to get that one. So everyone comes over to my place to Killer Instinct, and nobody wanted to play that game. Nobody came over. Nobody cared.
Killer Instinct was a game that we did go to people's house to play as well, because at the time it was Super Nintendo, and everyone had Street Fighter or the Sega Mortal Kombat, right? Because everyone loved the
right, exactly.
So when Killer Instinct came out, I was like, what is this infinite stuff? And you're just doing endless combos that was first introduced. You're like, wow, I just want input.
What do you mean? What do you mean by shaking out? What are you doing? What do you mean? what do you mean?
You know what? I would have gone to your ass.
Okay. I appreciate that. Earthworm Jim. Namvin says Earthworm Jim was I'm guessing you're responding to the underestimated game. Earthworm Jim was pretty cool.
That was a really good platform shooter.
They
made a lot of those.
Did you ever play Blaster Master? Blaster Master,
yes, I did. The first time I played that, I rented it from a video store, VHS stores when they used to be there.
Yeah.
And it was rented for me because I got chickenpox. So I had to stay at home after like being there in class for one day, because
we had chickenpox in the same era. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So then I stayed at home after the first day at school, and then my brother rented this game for me, and it was Master Blaster or Blaster Master, little tank dude, and you're in a tank, you get out of it, and then
great
walk
music,
around with
great music,
fantastic music. So I have fond memories of that.
Yeah,
and Life Force as well. Life Force was another spacey type of game.
Of all of the games I played in that era on the original Nintendo, Master Blaster is the one that I owned that I never beat. I was never able to beat that game. I got up to the last boss twice, never beat that game. Beat every other game I've ever owned for the original Nintendo, I've beat. And most of the ones I rented, I've beat. That are beatable. You're not going to be winning caveman games really, unless
caveman games. My gosh, fantastic! By the way, I'm glad you brought that one up. Another fantastic 2-player game.
You are a pirate.
Oh yes.
Oh no, we're done already?
Whoa!
Holy crap! Gosh. Wow.
Wow.
That was quick. This entire show goes by real quick, guys. Real quick. So many hours lost in Mortal Kombat for Sega. So many hours. So Toasty Tozy says, and we do go after the, we'll try and keep up with chat if the timer goes off or any last minute things. Most hated game, retro game. Most hated retro game for me. Skate or Die. Skate or Die is mine.
Skate or Die was not too bad either, even though it still was there.
You just randomly wipe out for no, like, what's that? I don't know. It's some little thing, and it follows you, and no matter where you go, it kills you.
Now, is it hate because of the mechanics or hate because of a reason why you don't want to play the game?
Can it be both? Can it be both? Can
That
it be a
may
little
be
bit
like,
of both?
okay.
Can it also be because I sucked at it?
I would say the game from Nintendo time that I hated the most, but I played it still, was Uninvited. And that's like a horror point and click game on Nintendo.
Okay.
It's made by the same people who did Deja Vu.
Oh, I love Deja Vu.
So
Deja
it's
Vu
made by
and
the same
Shadowgate.
people.
Deja Vu and Shadowgate.
Yes. So it's done by the same producers and developers. So it's called Uninvited, and it's just a scary game.
And it's the same
that
kind
you
of
dive
thing. It's the
into.
same as those other two.
Same ones, same as the other two.
Never played this. Wait, I gotta write this down. I gotta play
You
this.
should
What's it
definitely
called?
rock that one down. Uninvited. And it's, you crash your car and your sister disappears, and then you find this crazy mansion, and it's like based around like magic circles that are in the basements. It scares the shit out of you because there's things that happen and jump scares that happen, and it always freaked me out as a kid. So of all the games I played on Nintendo, that's probably the one I put a Horcrux on if I had the choice.
Okay.
And that's why I hate that game. It's not because it's bad mechanics or anything. It's just I hate scary games.
Yeah.
I really do.
Is there, before I don't want to change. I don't want to change the story yet, the topic yet, but I do want to ask you one more retro game question, because there's this thing, especially in the Nintendo era. In that era of games, there was this tendency to make every single movie into a video game of some sort. Right?
Yeah.
Didn't matter what movie it was. It came out as a video game. Favorite and least favorite video games in the Nintendo era that came from a movie.
It came from a movie. Okay, so then let's do
Or TV series.
Least favorite, I'll probably say Friday the 13th.
Oh, okay.
Still a great game. It's a horror concept
Gotcha,
thing. And when
gotcha.
Jason comes at you in those cabins, and then you see the chalk lining of the children on the back wall of the cabin, it just freaks me out. It just freaks me out.
Okay.
So that one right there. Best one. Let's see, movies. Man. I'm trying to think about it now. What other Nintendo movies? I mean, it's Nintendo. Movie first, though. Movie first, then Nintendo. Goonies. Goonies was an amazing Nintendo game.
Okay. I didn't. There's a couple that stand out to me as ones that I wasn't a super huge fan of. There's the Addams Family. There's an Addams Family game.
Yeah.
Gremlins was okay. There it is, Jax. There is the wine of the day. Woodbridge. A Cabernet Sauvignon. Is that how I pronounce that? Sauvignon.
Cabernet Sauvignon. Gotta say it through
It's
your
French.
nose.
It's French. You must say it's French. Well, I don't know why I did the Italian thing. It's Italian.
That's true too.
Oh,
it tastes good.
Gosh. But yeah, I like the Batman video game based on the Michael Keaton movie when that came out. I really like.
That was a really good game.
It was a really good game, and but I wasn't a big fan of like Addams Family. If I recall, I think Rambo sucked. The Rambo video game I think kind of sucked, if I recall. So
that was somewhere in the middle of them all right there. So yeah, I was thinking about Rambo as well.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh man, Bio Billy. I forgot about Bio Billy. For some reason that just
Bio Billy.
That just popped in my brain.
Bio Billy. That was great. I love that game too.
Jax wants to know, can you recommend me something good for weddings that I alone will be drinking?
that you alone will be drinking? I don't know. You like sweet things or
Yeah, I
bigger
think
things?
that's a preference sort of thing. Like I
Yeah,
like
how-
I like Rieslings personally.
And how much do you want to drink? And how little do you want to drink?
There you go.
That will be the difference.
Do you like it to be dry? Do you like it to not be dry? These are all questions. Something that harnesses the flavor of the grape.
That's wine in general there. Maybe don't use white wines then, because white wines are an assortment of fruits. So you get like apricot flavors, peach flavors, white grape flavors. You get more of a variety of not grape-based flavors when you go to white wines. So if you really just want to just deal with the grape flavors and stick to red wines, Merlots are usually a good choice. They have a primary grape flavor on that with a hint of vanilla. If you want to go a little bit more tannin, which is like more of a sour, dry taste, and a Cab Sauvignon's good. They do black cherry and grape on that one. But those would be my two recommendations if you're gonna be drinking for a little while too. Probably go with Merlot.
My wife has an allergic reaction to the tannins in wine, so she can't have. The lower the tannins, the better.
Mm-hmm.
But she loves a red, but those are usually the ones that have some tannins in it. So
Yeah.
she's found a few recently. Once she found out that was her reaction, because before she just thought she couldn't have red wines, even though she loved them. And then later she found out somebody said something about the tannins having that reaction, and so she tried it with something with low to no tannins that was a reddish wine, and she didn't have any reaction. She got so excited. So that's been a thing the last couple of years in this house.
Red blends usually have a lower count on the tannins because they don't sit in barrels as long, and the way they get filtered is just a lot sooner than having them sit around. So it's there. In this case, tannins are pretty much the skin and the pulp and the seeds of a grape and its fruits. And when you let it sit in a barrel, this usually sits at the bottom of it. And then when they're getting ready to bottle it, they sometimes include those excess particles into the wine bottle. So that's when you actually have wine sit for a while, you'll see some type of, looks like dirt, or you might not see at the bottom of your glass. That's tannin though.
Okay.
Just let everyone know.
And guys, if you like that subject, after our break, we're going to come back. We're going to talk way more about alcohol tasting and stuff, wine, rum, whiskey, or whatever else, cider, whatever you're into, guys. Whatever you're into. All right. Charities, fundraisers, Wino. Before I even start the timer, I'm going to wait to start the timer. I want to ask you to tell us about the Black Collar Collective and the Black Collar Collective's upcoming charity event.
Oh, well, hi, I'm Wino. I'm part of a group called the Black Collar Collective, where we help raise money all year long for troubled youth and the fight against cancer. We've been doing this as a group collectively for about almost 5 years now. We're gonna hit 5 years soon. And that's what we generally do. We'll go into more detail as we talk about charity and fundraising. And our next upcoming charity is going to be the fight against breast cancer. We have a lot of people within your community and my community as well who've been afflicted by breast cancer or just cancer in general. So we'll be fundraising for a foundation called Keep a Breast. It'll be our 3rd year working with them. And we're going to be creating content. It's going to be all spooky games. You're going to be dressed up. And so if you're going to jump in for some thrills or streamer reactions or people losing their minds, come join us. It starts October 18th and it goes all the way through October 20th. We'll be able to provide schedules to everyone so you can actually see if some of your favorite streamers on there. I believe you're all probably familiar with Bentley Octavius will be joining us for that as well.
Yeah.
Roddy Mama wants to come on as well
that'd be
because
cool.
that's something that she has a close connection to as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So at the same time, when we do these things, we try to uplift the community through charity work. And when we do that, everyone really feels a sense of closeness and they get like the that they can make change in this world or affect in some kind of way or change lives, just even one person in the world. And I think once you jump in and start seeing some of the stuff that we do, you'll understand why we do these things versus just for clout or more followers or anything like that. We just love making change, and that's what we're about.
Yeah. Awesome. So guys, go and make sure you, of course, first follow Wino. There's the link for keepabreast.org, and keep your eye out. Obviously, I will be posting about it. I won't be in town during that event, but I will definitely in the leading up to it. I'll have the links. I'll have the information. My charity command will also link to that, as it pretty much always does. But ever since I first started working with Wino and helping the organization with their stuff, every time they've had a charity, I'm like, even if I'm not participating, I make sure to throw that link up in there so you guys can get in on those events and keep up to date, because I love the work that they are doing. And it was a must-have conversation for today's subject. So charities and fundraisers. So, and Wino, I met you, so like I knew you tangentially, right? I had seen you in other chats and doing stuff. I had popped into your streams a couple of times, and I was doing Movember, and Octavius reached out and he goes, can Wino join? And I was like, yeah, Wino can join Movember. For those that don't know, every November I run a Movember charity, and I put a team together, team of streamers, and I was like, yeah, everybody's welcome. And then I got to know you a bit more, and I was like, this dude's awesome. The Black Collar Collective is awesome. I'm like, I am so glad that in whatever way, whether you reached out to Octavius or you had just mentioned it or whatever, that we had gotten connected, because I am super stoked. I met so many awesome people through the Black Collar Collective, and I've had so much fun coming on there and participating in those events that I was like, this is so much fun, and it's a really awesome cause, and I like doing charity stuff too. So it was pretty awesome. So thank you for reaching out. Had that not ever happened, then a lot of this stuff wouldn't be what it is today. So thank you.
I appreciate that.
What is it for you? How did that charity, how did the Black Collar Collective, how did the group get started? Was it like you and like 2 or 3 other people, or was it just like, it just kind of was there and you guys were already doing it and like, we should put a name to this? How did that kind of come to be? I know this sounds kind of like a podcast question sort of thing, but I want to know.
So it started, I wasn't originally part of the community at first. So there's a person on Twitch here, we know him as Drake Vega, who started Xbox gaming community, and then eventually started making mishimas, which are like content through GTA 5 as like telling a story type thing, like a role play, exactly. And then eventually they started moving on to, and this is during the pandemic, and they started doing charity raid trains for the first time. And the first one was Toys for Tots. And after that hit it off, everyone got the taste of what it was. I had the pleasure of actually joining the Black Collar during their first ever charity raid train or charity fundraiser.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that aspect, that's how it came to be. It started off with an idea of a person, and then eventually the more and more people they brought in, it just grew and grew and grew more. And since then, I've just been addicted to making change in the world or striving for something better, especially if it just hits home for me. But really, that's how it started. It started with just a small little game community that now raises tens of thousands of dollars every year for someone to just had change in their life. So yeah, that's how it all started.
So tell us about the organization. When you have an event coming up, what is the, because like when I'm doing Movember, like my first thing is, okay, I got to get the people, right? I got to get the people on the team. Mm-hmm. And me personally, like I feel if I'm not giving information and links and helping everybody, even one-on-one individually with their things, I feel like I failed as a leader of the team. So I'm like constantly like, here's this and here's information and here's whatever, and oh, you need me to come in and spend an hour helping you with overlays. Okay, let's hop in a Discord chat. Coming up with whatever. You do a lot of the graphics and a lot of the organization as well. how is it as a group whole? Because I know people do different things. You know, Drake Vega does stuff. I know Daku does some of the graphic stuff as well. You put together things. How does that all come together? What is everybody's kind of roles, and does the event kind of come together?
So and when we first start, we're setting everything's enough time apart from one another, so then there can be room for organization. So first off, we determine which fundraiser or charity we're going to help raise money for. And at that point there, we create the assets, which is asking like Dr. Barrow, make badges, or any other artists, or we ask new streamers or people who want to help join the cause. We go out and scouting for them. So that's another group of people. Then we have a social managing team that helps the promo itself. And then we have the scheduling team to make sure that all the content that is created for the charity, for the raid train itself, is in some type of order that's going to be consistent in viewer attention. And then we have people who communicate with the fundraiser directly. So that all comes from a single part of like our community coming together and asking, hey, what do we got to do? What do we got to hit? And then we designate these positions to people when they're willing to do or can abide by time. Of course,
yeah,
it is a volunteer experience. And so we got to see who has the time and willing to do it there. So it starts from there. Then from that point on, first things that come out are the assets. We do the flyers, right? Got to get them out with us. Don't say come watch that stuff.
Yeah.
And then we find the people. And all the times we don't always have the same people joining us because it's different causes all the time. So it's about organizing that, recruiting that. I mean, there's a lot of steps that go into it, but after that, it just comes down to supporting everyone who wants to join the cause, so then they have also a fun time as well instead of a bad time. So we always ensure that people who are taking part of this charity are having fun as well, and they're supported and they got the assets they need. If they need new ideas, we provide it with them as well, whether it be art or automation or an update to their streamings. I guess it all stems from being just super supportive of one another and keeping everyone in good communication. And that right there itself just takes a lot of work, just because it's a group effort since it's a raid train.
Yeah.
So everyone has to like be in line for this 20, 40-hour events that goes on, right? So it's just not a like, oh, you just raise money when you can raise money and see your community can put in there. It's working together to create this beautiful event to happen. And I guess that's where most of the work would go, is just that the support that we all give to one another during that particular weekend.
Speaking of support, everybody who's hanging out here, I want to say something about this. So the first one I did, because many of you know I'm a little picky about what I do on my stream, right? How things look. I'm very picky about everything. And so I'm talking to Wino. I was like, hey, what is this? What is that? How does this? And Wino, like, up way past his bedtime, is like, here, let me just rebuild this entire thing for you. And I'm like, wait, what? No, that's not, I didn't. He's like, no, we're doing it. Here you go. He goes out of his way just to help. So we're talking about like trying to make sure everybody is supported. This guy stayed up, I don't know how, like 3 extra hours. He was already over his bedtime, and he's like, he stayed up like 3 hours to get me a very specific thing that only I, out of everybody in the group, could use to throw on the stream. It's like, talk about supporting everybody else. Like, I did not expect that. I didn't mean for you to stay up, but you did. And that's the kind of support that everybody in the group does for one another. And I thought that was crazy, but also like super awesome. And I was like, this is the representation that this group needs. And so I know you weren't going to talk about something like that, but I'm going to talk about that because that was really awesome. And what you did really, really spoke volumes to me about not just yourself, but the group as a whole. So there you go, guys. Wino is the man.
Thanks. I guess we have the slogan for us. It's called for the creators, by the creative. So then it just means if you need something, we're all creators and creatives, and we just gotta have you take that information as well, just so you just a better creator yourself. Because it just, why would we ever gatekeep like creativeness?
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
what our whole community comes from, is just supporting one another and making sure if you can't do something as good as someone else, but you can definitely do some things that could help them in a way that would make them grow even more. And then in turn, you'll also get that back as well, because it's just such a reciprocative type of community.
Look at that gifted sub for the one and only Dreg Vega. Thank you, Roddy Mama. Speaking of Dreg Vega, one of the people we were just talking about earlier. Lord have mercy, look at these faces. Welcoming Dreg Vega. Guys, of course, go check out Dreg Vega as well. We were just talking about Dreg. Turn it up, yeah. Turn it up, yeah. Turn it up, yeah. Turn it up, yeah. Here we go. Awesome. Thank you for joining us, everybody. So, how long were you doing charity work before the Black Collar?
I wouldn't be fundraising, but I did a lot of community service at the local parks and at the hospitals and things like that. But I never really raised money, but I was always doing community work. So after the pandemic happened, or when the pandemic happened, I saw a different way to output the work I wanted to do without actually being able to physically be somewhere.
Yeah.
Because earlier on, it was always about just being in a place that you could help out the community. And that was the labor of love. And then when Dreg brought me into the Black Collar Collective, I saw a different way to fundraise and raise money for charities. And yeah, that's where I just got pulled in, and it's grown so much. I mean, we're moving, just to add on to that question there, like we're moving on to create this foundation ourselves now. We're going to become a nonprofit here in the state of California and have satellite sites through the rest of the world, who people raise money under this single banner, and everyone would be comfortable knowing that the money will go where it needs to go. We're going to create scholarships for the troubled youth. We're going to create housing just in case it needs to happen. There's just so many things on this list that we want to do, and it all stems from that one interaction that we had on, just because of Twitch itself. Just the streaming platform created new outlets for everyone to affect change some way. And I'm just thankful for that, actually. So yeah, that's how it all went about.
Right. When I worked for a company a number of years ago, and I wanted to like do a charity, and I chose Movember because I just liked how the organization was ran, and I liked how they did things, and I liked how they talked about things, and I liked how they kept it fun, but they kept it as a good cause. And it was something that, you know, mostly you only saw for like, maybe for some hockey teams were like, yeah, Movember, and everybody, people didn't really know, but they were raising awareness. And I thought that is kind of cool. And so I did some research, and I just loved the platform. I loved what they did. And so I ended up heading up a team for our company. And I did that like 4 years in a row, to the point where like the owner of the company wanted to have a one-on-one meeting with me, the scrub who worked at the warehouse, you know, to just sit down for a half hour to an hour to talk about that and talk about how it can affect the company and how the company can help. And I was like, this is super cool. This means a ton. This is super important. And then I ended up leaving the company, and I had this thing that I wanted to do, but I didn't have an outlet. I didn't have a team. I didn't have a group. And I kept thinking, like, what kind of a group could I do? Like, I could do just my friends, but I don't know how that would really mean anything. And then about a year after I had started streaming, I was like, oh my God, I could make a team of streamers that raise funds for Movember, and it could be really fun. And I could just I could put it into their hands. Uh-oh. A hype train has started, Wino. We got 2 songs running at once.
Charity awareness.
Spice train. It's
All
a
right.
spice train. We have paused the timer. We have paused the timer for the spice train. That doesn't mean we won't keep talking about charities during the pause timer, but to let everyone know, during a hype train, every completed level of hype train, I eat one of these spicy haunted ghost pepper chips. And Wino may or may not have decided to get some stuff to join us on the spice train.
Yep. Well, I'm gonna participate because I've been on these things. I mean, I've watched a lot of these podcasts this year, so I had to bring something as well. So I got these Takis here. I'm gonna let you guys choose which flavor we're gonna do. We have this extreme cucumber habanero one. And we have the lime version. Aside from that as well, you gotta choose a topping for me.
So you guys get to pick which Takis he's gonna have and which topping. Sriracha.
You get the sriracha, or you get the Cholula on top of those chips. There we go.
There we go. So you guys got to decide what he's going to do, but then you also have to have the hype train. Have the hype train.
Yes, definitely so. All right.
Hello, Shabisky over on YouTube. Welcome
Nitro
in.
with Cholula. Let's go.
Nitro with Cholula. All right. We haven't completed level 1 yet, so we don't have to have one yet, but we're halfway there. So if the people want to make both of us have property.
Turn down for what? Turn down for what? Turn down for what?
Wow.
Here we go. Thank you for the turn down for what we're at 75%. But yeah, so I ended up wanting to do. Oh no, Twitch did it! Damn you, Twitch! Oh, Roddy Mama did it. Roddy Mama did it. Twitch just added on. Roddy Mama. Oh my gosh, this is how bad this one is. I don't know if you can see. I don't know if you can see how bad these ones are. They're just like, it's caked on the outside edges of the bag. Thank you, Monkey Swag. Currently on a 31-month streak. 40 months. 40 months. All right. Here we go. Yeah. Here we go. We've completed the first level of hype train. This one's folded in half, so don't think I'm cheating on you guys. This is a full chip. It's just folded in half.
Hope I don't drop some.
All right.
Clean about this.
All right. Takis with Cholula. You have to let me know how it tastes. Oh, Jesus. Hello, Drake's. Like, what the hell? All right, here we go. At least mine aren't stale anymore. It's a new bag, so they're not stale. Woo! That's the spice level on.
It's not a little fun, to be honest with you. I'm gonna just try to drink Cholula out of this cap, actually.
Out of the cap? Oh my god.
Through the Taki. How about that? That's better yet. It's because it's dripping everywhere, so I just need a...
You need a little dipping vessel?
Yeah, there we go. This is for Roddy right here.
There you go. Woo! Oh. Perfect thing to do. Oh, yeah! Don't kill yourself.
Oh,
that looked like that was a bad choice.
Oh,
we're only at level 1. If you're gonna keep doing that, because people can make this really bad. And Roddy Mama's in here, and she's been known to torture. I mean, support people. Now that was the face of regret. That was the face of regret. My eyes are watering already from one chip. Already from one chip. I don't know if you guys could tell, but whew.
Right.
Why don't you look like you got to take a crap, pal? I think he just did.
I'm gonna have an interesting crap after this. Trust me.
I think a little part of his soul has just left the building. I said I would be nice tonight as Epic throws me under the bus. Did you say you were going to be nice tonight? There's a lot of stuff going on, Ronnie. Oh yeah, you did say I'll be nice tonight.
Gotta lick them fingers.
I was too busy reading when you said that he should have the having it with the Cholula. I wasn't throwing you under the bus. I was just saying you are known, Roddy Mama. You are known. I mean, let's not forget the Stephen the Shark incident.
Roddy is a badass supporter of the community.
She is. Roddy is awesome. All bets are off now. Oh no.
Her vibes or levels are so high. Man, watch your fingers.
Yeah, that's why I was like, here's the problem. Like, normally I just like use the back of my wrist, but because the bag looks like this, because the bag looks like that, it's hard. Oh no!
Are you believing a pirate is something we need to watch on? Because a pirate is free, and it is a pirate.
Steven
we
asked
added 150 bits to Roddy Mama's cheer.
All right,
that's another chip. Oh my gosh, how do I do this without scraping my hand?
I got this and sriracha. You guys want that and sriracha? I can't manage to drink this sriracha through this thing.
You're gonna use the same cup, so you'll end up getting like a Cholula sriracha mix.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Okay, yeah, maybe look here.
Woo!
All right.
Woo!
Before the green. Sriracha.
Sriracha. I love sriracha. I feel like I should add to this since you're adding to it.
No, I have to add because they removed all
these chips. Sriracha caramel corn. Nom.
They removed those Pocky chips from all of our stores over here.
That's horrible.
Los Angeles.
We have a homemade Fatali jelly that's super spicy. It's almost as spicy as these chips. All right. Here we go. I don't know why you would drink it like a straw. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Garlic yummers.
It's not too bad, actually. I think it's cucumber, but it's not too bad. My nose. Oh.
Like wiping my eyes off. Oh. This is why we wear red hats, guys. Is because that way when our faces turn red, you're not going to really know.
Oh, boy.
Hello, Barlack. Welcome on in.
Thank you for that, Roddy. Appreciate you.
Roddy is awesome. Everybody here is awesome. Oh.
I'm sweating into this hat right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you glad you didn't put on the cap like I did?
I would probably prefer the cap, actually, because, when you sweat into hats, they sort of get really hard to wash.
That's true. They get that line.
Yeah.
Oh. I sense sarcasm, Wino. Theo.
No.
That's all right.
You're amazing.
Oh.
My lips are already getting pulsed. They're already swelling. Fuck.
Yeah, I like certain alcohols I like because they make my lips numb. Not so much with the spicy food. When they make my lips numb, that's not necessarily the best. Oh, I don't even remember what we were talking about when it came to. Oh yeah, so that's why I did that's why I brought the Movember charity to the stream.
Yeah.
And I was very. The first team was I think it was only 5 people. It was a smaller team, just because it was kind of a trial run. I didn't really know what to do, and I wanted to put it in the streamers' hands. Let the streamers fundraise however they wanted to fundraise, something unique to them, and it's just been fun seeing all the creative stuff everybody comes up with. Whatever they do, if they have goals, and if they hit certain goals for donations, they do giveaways or they do specialty streams or anything like that. So it's kind of this gift that keeps on giving, and I think it also helps with the creativity, because like you said, they're creators and creatives, and coming up with these new things, and we inspire each other to do these cool new things. And somebody's like, hey, I did this, they do something kind of cool, and then it's like, well, I want to do something like that, or I want to add that alert, or I want to add that new extension. That's kind of a neat thing. Or things that I have done, I did for a one-off for Movember, and then it's like, oh, well, I should do this more often. Do this as a regular stream once a month or once every couple months or something like that. So
definitely, that gets you that charity bug right there.
Yeah. Oh. All right. Everybody's collected the level 2 emotes. Thank you guys so much for the level 2 hype train. My eye is burning. I think I did get some on my eyelid. Not a lot, but I got some on my eyelid. Because my eyelid, this one, is burning.
Oh, no, not again.
Oh. Whew. I always get a little on my eyelid somehow, trying to wipe my tears away.
The tears of joy, friend. They were tears of
Restart
joy.
the timer. Yes, indeed I will. Also, speaking of the spicy chip, tomorrow is the 2-year anniversary of me doing the hot chip challenge.
Wow.
So yeah, 2 years ago tomorrow, I did the 1 chip challenge on stream. For those of you that saw it, I'm sorry, and I apologize for that excruciating experience for all of you to watch, and for me to have my psychology brain just block it out and pretend like it never existed and completely forget how bad the pain was. So
I mean, at least you didn't do the 1 gummy challenge. I heard that one more miserable. That one's miserable.
Really? Should try it. No, not gonna try it. Not gonna try it.
No.
I do want to do the hot ones. I do want to take the hot ones challenge thing. DM Wolf, welcome on in, Raiders. Get a shout out here for DM Wolf. Thank you, Roddy, for getting that. Check out DM Wolf, guys, right here.
If you want this stream to last longer than all of the 20 minutes you've been live, I would suggest you not do the accent on stream.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there a problem?
Because I will unplug you to get what I
You
want.
have been warned, Wolf. You have been warned.
Feral brats.
Please.
Guys, go check out DM Wolf. He is a D&D content creator. He does a lot of podcast stuff as well. Go and check out DM Wolf. Amazing, amazing person. I have been on his show. He has been here on Off the Pod. You can check that out on YouTube. Awesome dude. Go and check it out. Thank you so much for the raid. Hopefully you were doing well, and hopefully your stream went well, and I appreciate you and your raid. Are you doing a chip? Are you doing another? Oh my gosh. Wino. Going all out with another Taki chip and the salsa sauce.
It looks like I'm doing something else, actually. I'm sorry. I need to show you guys proper. Oh yeah, thanks for that raid, y'all.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for supporting the cast.
We're talking about charities and fundraisers. Let me restart the thing. What is your favorite thing you've done for the charity? What is the favorite thing that you've done for the charity raid train when you do it? And for those that don't know, it's streamer raids into another streamer, raids into another streamer, and they're all part of the same group raising funds for the same thing. That's the quick of it. So what is the favorite thing that you've done for all of them that you've done so far?
I would say hands down, my most favorite is always during Christmas time. A lot of times throughout the course of the year, we have 3 of these gigantic raid trains that take like the whole weekend. And then we were all sitting in Discord one day, just going back and forth, and we came up with the idea to say, hey, let's just make it a trade wreck. Right? Let's just derail shit so much that it just goes everywhere. Like, let's just say we go into some spot for 30 minutes to see him start baking a Christmas cake, and then we go somewhere else that spends an hour, then we go somewhere else that's 30 minutes of live music, and then somewhere for a game show for 2 hours, and then come back to a band for an hour, and then go back to the guy who's baking first off over there to finish the final product. And it's just, it took all that content we used to create over a past weekend and put it into the single day. It's like 6-7 hours of just beautiful content, and just it's just Christmassy time. It feels like homey.
Yeah.
It's like that's probably my favorite. It's just,
and that's what you did on your stream, is you just watched all the other people?
Oh, so I mean, that was the funnest. I guess the thing I enjoyed the most during just that Christmas special that we do is everyone actually pulls out their stops on how they create content.
Yeah.
People just dress up. You have people reading Christmas stories to the chats for like 30 minutes. I think that's probably my favoriteness, is just comes back to everyone's own traditional root of what Christmas meant to them.
Yeah.
And it's being shared to chat, just how they enjoy their Christmas. I think that's my just favorite type of content that just comes back, where it's super wholesome and from the heart. And that's what that was. Yeah, mine was a game show. I did Where in the World is Wino, where
I
had participants follow my clues throughout the nation, because I got like super blasted on wine and I don't remember where it was. And they'd take all these notes and clues, and they would finally find out where I was passed out. And like in some spot behind like a giant statue in St. Louis, or just things like that. And
yeah.
I think that was part. It's just, I don't know. It's just, it's very, I think it's just a feeling of togetherness that I get from that content.
Yeah.
It's just immaculate.
What are a handful of the most unique things that people have done for their streams during the events? In your opinion, obviously it's an opinion. Everybody has their own thoughts and what they think is something kind of cool and unique. What one person thinks is cool, another person might be like, meh. But in your opinion, what do you think are some of the cooler, unique things people have done?
Probably go back to the Christmas one. I'd probably say the Christmas reading of The Grinch is still one of my favorites. And it's a green screen, and then they have like this giant fireplace behind them. They're wearing their Santa hat and just reading the story as an adult to kids, but then making it very like mature.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites as well.
That's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah, and then actually it's like just I wouldn't say like it's too mature, because actually we've had kids who are like, they're like, or some of the streamers' children sit down and watch the reading as well for like a good 30 minutes for the book. And I think that's what's really good. I think that's probably my favorite uniqueness, is that
that's awesome.
The community would actually bring their kids to just hear a story be read by a guy with eyeliner and a hat and looks like he's no shit gangster read a book to you.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. On that, maybe the baking streams that happen are always fantastic. Yeah, Santa, Mr. Claus and Mrs. Claus baking for like 30 minutes. I mean, there's just, I can't even think of, there's so much of it. Man, I'm trying to remember everyone's content right now.
Well, so have you had any ideas that you haven't used yet that you're like, man, I really wish I could figure this out or figure out how to put this together for a charity event to raise money? Or a certain feature you'd like to get figured out that to be able to use for the group or for yourself or anything like that? Are there any things that you haven't really gotten to figure out, or like ideas that you're like, man, I really wish I could get this to work? As our timer runs out.
I can't believe my fingers of spiciness.
My eye up here is on fire. So
there was a new idea that someone in the community came up with. It's gonna be like you're gonna sit down and it's gonna be like reading a book.
Thank you, Roddy Mama. Have a great night. Thank you, Redneck Jedi, for the resubscribing. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and eat dessert with you.
Yeah, you don't want to eat after she visits Octavius. So this upcoming Christmas, we have this new concept and idea that someone in the community brought up. And let's just say that's gonna be like you're gonna sit down and someone's gonna open a book and start reading a bunch of short stories to you. So there's gonna be the whole segment, the whole 6 hour times. It's literally gonna just be like reading a book, but then it's gonna be like a pop-out picture book.
Okay.
But it's a pop-out streamer book.
Okay.
So it's a new concept we're gonna bring to here, thanks to I think Sassy Squatch was the one who came up with that one.
All right. Sassy's awesome. Love Sassy.
Like, I don't want to go into too much detail about it because that is just.
But you are doing it.
Good idea, but we are doing.
You are doing it. Has this been something you've been trying to figure out for a while, and you're just like you couldn't figure it out, and now you figured it out, or?
It was just an idea that just came out, and then
okay.
Everyone was like, "You know what? That's a fantastic idea. Let's do it. Let's apply it." And that's how it just goes. It's gonna be so refreshing and brand new on its take that it's already is gonna be that's gonna bring that much more attention to it all. And after it's done, right, of course one of the big things is trying to get these videos all put together so we can make a Christmas special.
Oh, okay.
That should be like a video that goes on a long form content that goes onto YouTube, or someone in the idea actually said they want to record it onto a VHS tape and send it to people. I was like, man, you guys are crazy. But it's got to be really. I want to tell you so much more about it, but
yeah, I really wanted to do
a big surprise
for Movember. I wanted to do something that was like something that could cross over between all of the people participating, that they could do on all of them, that tied all of them in together without taking without having it be just that's the content, so I was like, what could I wish it was like a like a channel point redeem that was a game, but it like accumulated it from all the different streamers, and like so it would be more of this kind of a cool like let's see who's playing the game or whatever, that brought them so you could go to all of them, so if you're watching the Movember here and then you go to the next one, they could play the game there as well. And there was this idea in the back of my head that would be like this cool Movember themed game that all of the viewers could participate in all of the streams without the streamer having to like just make that be the content, kind of, and or also similar to your where is Wino, except for it's like a one of those you go to a city and a city has like a scavenger hunt and you actually have to go to those locations. I thought that would also be a kind of a cool thing where the clues would lead you to who the other streamer was, and you'd have to go watch that streamer's stream to get the next clue.
That sounds.
And so those were the two ideas, and I just could never like. It seemed like so much working parts and so difficult to do. So I wasn't quite sure. I did not miss your message. We are on a different topic right here. We will get to that later on when we are on that topic. So thank you for posting that, and we will get to it during our potluck section, Mr. Beetlejuice. But yeah. So that's that.
I mean, that's a really cool plan. I think it's very doable. You just need like a little back automation through another board that's linked to everyone through a DAT file. You can make that happen.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, you can really make that happen. That's a cool ass idea. And it'd actually be responsive enough to where you could actually, it's like almost doing like scavenger bingo. And then it would actually take note of everyone who's been there and visited and actually clicked it in. After someone gets everyone,
exactly.
It'll announce a winner once they get the last piece too, on that time when they get it.
Yeah,
that's a good idea right there. That's great.
Awesome. Blue screen of death hasn't happened in a while. Certainly not ever with the... Yeah, so I don't have the Tangia. I forgot to add the Tangia overlay to this, guys. So if you've been redeeming stuff in Tangia and it's not popping up, I apologize. I thought that I had added it. And I will probably try and get that added during the break. So bear with us on that for everyone who's been redeeming. If you've been redeeming Tangia stuff, I apologize that those pop-ups or alerts have not been happening. So we will get that here in a bit and get that set up so it's there when we come back from the break, which will include the dungeon. And I have to figure out exactly where I'm going to place that goddamn dungeon. So I might just leave it where it is so it covers my face. Leave it where it is because I have to change it for every single stream so it pops up in a certain area. So yeah, we got that going for us, which is nice.
Wow.
So guys, we are going to go to break. When we come back, we have alcohol tasting, the whole topic on tasting alcohols and having that, understanding the flavors, where they originate, what our flavor profiles are, our palates, all of that kind of stuff we will be talking about when we come back. We can also talk a little bit about what we're drinking tonight, what our drinks of choice are as well. Also, when we come back from break, at the end of the stream, as it usually is potluck. We will talk about whatever, whenever, however, including Mr. Beetlejuice wants to know if we've watched the Beetlejuice movie. We will talk about that during the potluck as well. So please, please, please stick around through the break. Please stay here during the break. During the break, go and check out Wino. Go and give him a follow as well. So thank you guys so much for being here. We'll be back in about 5-10 minutes. We need to, go use the restroom, get refill on water, wash our eyeballs off, that kind of stuff. So we will see you guys in just a few minutes. I am going to run an ad, so please don't worry about that. Appreciate you all. We'll see you in a few.
Are you familiar with the term pantsing?
Yes.
People are outliners or pantsers. They write by the seat of their pants. So I had a vague idea of this novel I wanted to write in my own world. And I just sat down and started writing.
I mean, pantsing for some people means something completely different, but I know what you mean.
In the writing vernacular, nothing to do with actual pants.
We took a picture of the tape. Like, he was like, don't take any pictures of this because people on the internet will take it apart. And our intern at the time took a photo across the table of me playing and how happy I was. And he was like, yeah, go ahead and post that one. And then people literally zoomed in, like, it's me facing her and all the papers on the table in front of us. And people were literally like drilling into that and like typing what they saw on the pieces of paper. And I'm like, this is ridiculous.
That with Munchkin Batman, because one of my favorite characters from the whole Batman mega story is King Tut. And I wanted to put King Tut in the Batman game that we did with Munchkin, but it turns out that he's part of a different licensing package. It just wasn't available to us. Oh well. Yeah, it was sad, but we got lots of stuff in there. It was great.
That's great. And that's the new one that just came out, right?
That's the new one.
How excited are you to show people this game? Is it something that's just like, are you a big comic book fan?
10, maybe 12, 14, something like that. I mean, I got to write dialogue for Batman.
Right.
John Kovalik got to be a Batman artist for real.
In the idea that instead of taking levels of other classes, there are specific feats that give you portions of what it would be to level up. So that way, if you're a level 10 sharpshooter, you're a level 10 sharpshooter. But you can also, with your feat picks, go out and take, say, the mastermind class abilities by taking the mastermind training feat, the advanced mastermind training feat.
Yeah.
And the advanced one gets you up to about the equivalent of level 7 or so in another class.
Putting it in a grave and then putting it in the ground, you think, oh, okay, everything will be safe. No, 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 no. The grave breaks down. Water gets in there. It freezes. When they open up a grave, even 10, 20 years down the line, maybe even 30, moisture gets in there. You essentially become bone soup.
I knew it. I knew that's where you were going.
Bone soup. Isn't that disgusting?
Let me get my spoon.
That's something I like doing whenever people, tag me in like the urban fantasy Facebook group with like 30,000 members or something.
Yeah.
Someone will post about me, check out this book, which is awesome. I love seeing that. And then, I'll just randomly type in there, from a completely non-biased point of view, I like it, or someone will say like, oh yeah, I really like that book. And I said, and I hear the author is so extraordinarily humble as well. And not everyone catches that it's me who's the author. But when
it took me a second. It took me a second. I saw it and I was like, oh yeah, I got to make sure. Wait a second.
I love doing that. It's a lot of fun.
I love Jarlaxle, and I'll tell you a little thing. I love his voice, and it's funny. I use a little trick for myself because you've got to remember the voices over.
Right, and there's so many in that series now.
So many, and it's over 10 years now that I have to remember. Sometimes a character will disappear for 2 books and come back, and so I won't tell you who it is, but I'm so bad at celebrity impersonations that I can do an impersonation, and I'll use it, and that's what I did for Jarlaxle. And I get right to the voice instantly, but nobody has any idea who I'm doing.
Oh man!
So it's
now I'm gonna have to think about it every next time I listen to one.
You have to listen to it and think about it, but I don't think you'll ever guess it.
But the violence is about a world in which there's a new kind of pandemic in which people break out in random acts of animalistic violence. So it opens with a lady shopping in like a Costco, looking at a mayonnaise jar. She drops the mayonnaise jar, picks up a bottle of Thousand Island dressing and beats the nearest shopper to death with it, then drops the bottle and selects her mayonnaise and just keeps going. So that's how this pandemic works, is you randomly just kill someone and then move on with your life, which of course throws America into chaos, because at first, you're like, well, how do we know who has the violence and who doesn't? People are dying. How do we help them? By the time we get to a 911 call, someone's already dead, and the person who did the violence is confused and has no idea it happened. And then, of course, that gives a very good way for a woman who's caught in a domestic abuse situation to get away from her abusive husband.
I did one recently on True Crime Tuesday about Havana syndrome, and I had on a British intelligence agent, Frank Milburn, and I got good reception about it. Frank is on the inside. In fact, George Knapp had him on Coast to Coast as well, and he's got documents. He's got things that, and this is how much it spooked me, Nick. And I have not talked on the show about this at all.
Okay.
We did the show on Havana syndrome, and I'm talking to one of my buddies, and I think it was 3 days after we did the show on Havana syndrome, the CIA comes out and says, Havana syndrome did not originate in Russia. After Frank comes out and says, I have documents that show Havana syndrome originates in Russia, that they use RF energy.
And we are back. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for sticking it out through that break. I appreciate each and every single one of you for being here. We are back with the one, the only, Wino. For those of you who are just tuning in, who are just getting here or got here right before the break, the concept of this show is we talk about a new subject every 20 minutes. It changes. Kind of. And we talk about that not just between us, but we talk about that with you guys as well. It was a good Blake. Yes, it was a very good Blake. Why do I feel like that's going to be the new troll on Epic Realms? Oh, we got to go on Blake now. So, with that being said, guys, earlier our first topic was retro games. We talked a lot about retro games, kind of what was our childhood, what we thought was retro games. Something I love talking about. It's not the first time. It won't be the last time that we talk about retro games on this channel. That is for sure. That is for sure. Or on Wino's channel for that matter. So who is Blake and where are we going on him? Giggity. It could be a her. It could be a her, right? Isn't Ryan Reynolds' wife named Blake? So it could be a her.
Yes,
Blake
you're right.
Lively. Blake Lively. Yeah.
Good on you. That's good.
But we also talked about fundraisers and charities. We talked about the Black Collar Collective. We talked about the Keep Abreast Foundation, AIM Youth Mental Health, Toys for Tots, GLSEN. The list goes on and on. All the charities that Wino and the Black Collar Collective have worked on and raised funds for. Do you have a total number, before we continue on, do you have a total number of funds you guys have raised since the beginning?
If we were to put a number to it, can't give you an exact number, but it's well over $50,000. Well over $50,000.
Well over $50,000 raised. What an amazing, it's just freaking awesome. Amazing. So yeah, we talked about that. We will talk more about that at the end after we're done with Potluck, just to kind of refresh your guys' memories on that, or for anybody new that comes in or has come in. But our next subject, both of us talk about this subject a lot on our chat, on our streams all the time. Before we get started, I want to let you all know, if you are triggered by concepts of drinking, of alcohol, if you're in any kind of rehab or anything like that, please be aware of what we are going to be talking about. We are going to be talking about alcohol. Usually in my stream, I usually tell people, if somebody new comes in and they say about that, I usually will let people know, like, hey, if you're in rehab or if you drinking is a trigger for you, let me know and I will set the alcohol aside, and I won't do it while you are here, just because I want to respect that if it's an issue for you, I want to respect that. So this is your warning ahead of time that we will be talking about alcohol tasting, drinking. That is kind of a reoccurring theme on both of our channels as well. But I do want to make sure that I point that out and let you guys all know that I support you guys no matter what, whether it's from choice or whether it's because you're not supposed to, or whether it's because you can't, or for health reasons, whatever your reason is. If you say, I don't drink, I say, okay, cool. That's it. That's where it ends. So yeah, that is my disclaimer before we get started on this. Wino, what are you drinking? And tell us a little bit about it. Tell us about the flavor profile, what you're tasting in it.
Sure. I'm drinking grocery wine. And what I mean by grocery wine, it's just a normal wine that can be purchased from any supermarket. And it's not like it'd be something like a $60 bottle. It's very fancy, and I like do fancy things with it. It's literally a $10 bottle of wine.
Okay.
For 1.5 milliliters of content. So what I'm drinking right now is a Cabernet Sauvignon from the Robert Mondavi series. It's the Woodbridge series.
Okay.
And the reason why I like this one here is because it doesn't have too much sweetness. It's gonna be a little more on a bitter tone. And main reason why I enjoy it so much though is because the sugar content in this is actually one of the lowest.
Okay.
So you're not actually just ingesting sugar after a glass. So it makes it like a good sipper, and you actually enjoy it throughout the night over multitudes of glasses. What this tastes like here is actually, wine grapes with black cherry and very, very small notes of vanilla in there.
Okay.
The tannin levels on this is actually pretty moderate, so you do get that little sour taste when it hits the back of your palate. Where's the front of your palate? When it hits your tongue, you get that there.
Okay.
But I enjoy it because of, again, anyone who is triggered by alcohol consumption. I just want to say that the feeling that I get from the effect of this wine is more like a warm, fuzzy feeling of comforts and closeness with people versus like tequila.
Yeah,
I would say. So that's what I'm drinking here right now. It's a Cabernet Sauvignon.
Sauvignon.
Years.
What's his friends?
As it goes.
Nice. I am partaking in, and I want to thank Toasty Toesies for this. Toasty Toesies got this on his trip up here when we did the another charity with Identity Crisis and Octavius for Octenticon, which is there was another children's cancer charity, and he got this to share with people. And since he was flying home, he's like, just keep the rest of the bottle. I'm like, you're damn right I will. So this is I think it was like $160 bottle of rum. Four Squares, my favorite brand. I love almost any rum from Barbados. I enjoy. It's and I'm just sipping it straight. It's really smooth and really sweet, but it's also got a kick because this thing is 61% alcohol by volume. It's 122 proof. But it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like it, right? You don't feel like you're drinking an overproofed rum when you're drinking it. Like it feels that, yeah, it's got a little bit of a kick, but it doesn't feel like you're burning your face off with rubbing alcohol. It's super smooth, and it's got a lot of smooth like cocoa and vanilla type hints to it. And yeah, it's one of those ones where you taste it. I can't taste the alcohol. It's not like I'm inhaling the smell of rubbing alcohol at all. But I drink it, it tastes amazing, but then I get this little numbness around my lips that there's just something about that to go, I can't taste that it's super alcoholic, but I can feel it just on my lips. There's something about that I just dig. And there's something about Barbados rums, all of them. I have yet to find a Barbados rum that I'm like, this is horrible. There's something about the atmosphere, because the way rums are made, they take their stuff locally. So it's their water, the water that they use, the materials they use. So their sugarcane, where there's grown, the environment that they're grown in for their sugarcane really affects the flavor profile, as opposed to if you go to like Puerto Rico or Cuba or the Dominican Republic or Belize, the flavor profiles are good. They can use the same exact recipe, but because of the environment that their materials are grown in, will drastically change the flavor of the rum. And there's not a brand of Barbados rum that I haven't been like, oh, that's pretty good.
How do you feel on that stuff? Does it like, what emotions did you associate while drinking rum?
When I was younger, I drank a lot of like garbage cheap stuff, and there was something about, I had whiskeys a lot in like I was forced to drink it, kid, like, here, have this, and I wasn't a fan of them immediately. And the flavor of it and all that kind of stuff was just like, gag me with a spoon. And then I had some rum, and I was like, oh, that ain't too bad. And then I started having mixers with them, and I was like, that's not too bad. And then I got into, I met somebody that was really into different rums, and they're like, yeah, here's a cheap, it was called Florida Cana. It was like a Florida Cana 3-year. And I got it, and I was just like, this is cool. It made me feel both like, yes, I feel kind of sophisticated in the fact that like I can have like an actual liquor, just drink it straight and just enjoy it. But I also could tell the different flavor profiles in them at that point in time. And so I started that, kind of expanded that. And don't get me wrong, I've moved on. I've done wine samplings. I've done whiskey, and especially like whiskeys now, like I can differentiate the different kinds of whiskeys usually. Like I can like, okay, this is probably a Scotch without looking at the bottle. This is probably a Scotch. This is probably an Irish whiskey. And this is probably a bourbon. This is, just a traditional whatever. And I find that I like the bourbons. I don't necessarily like the Irish whiskeys. I'm sometimes okay with scotches. So yeah. And then I've also like a gin. I like a good gin, but those are made. Those have such variety of flavors. Martinis. So, but for like wines, I like the Rieslings. I like the sweeter stuff. I've gotten more used to enjoying the dry stuff when it comes to wines and ciders as well. Ciders, I've been enjoying some of the dry ciders a lot more. I don't feel as gag me with the spoon, but that might just be because I've cut off. I don't drink soda anymore. I don't drink soda or pop or whatever you want to call it. I just don't. So I've cut that out, and I mostly just drink like sparkling waters and whatnot for my just liquid consumption. And so I think my tolerance for sweetness has greatly shifted. So things that are a lot more drier, I enjoy now.
Yeah, I'm with that too. It's interesting how our palates change through the times we age. When I was young earlier on, I was always a big bourbon fan. You know, Jack Daniels,
right.
Jack and Coke, and then you start doing just mixers like rum and a soda.
Mm-hmm.
And as I kept on getting older and older, I'll tell you the progression of it all. I started enjoying Jägermeister, and I don't like black licorice as a dessert or a candy or like that. But Jägermeister just started being a part of my life for some time there, because I was like, man, I don't know why, but I always feel good after the fact. It's so warm, and I feel.
Have you tried absinthe since it's come back to the United States?
I was gonna bring that up too, actually. I've had absinthe, but it wasn't like real absinthe.
Okay.
Right. And then eventually we got to real absinthe from Europe. I think, and that was after the import laws changed for the US.
Yeah.
And the Spain's export laws changed. And so we actually had the absinthe with like the bug in it, or the worm in it. And so we had the sugar cube and everything. My friend, I wanted to throw up when the absinthe hit my mouth. It was such a strong, potent, like medicine type of taste. And I could see why you needed to put the sugar cube in there, because it was just so absolutely strong. But I didn't go to La La Land on it though. I know there's a lot of people who think about the times of absinthe and the Green Fairy.
The Green Fairy, I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no I've never had the Green Fairy incident, so I don't know. We actually had the stuff that they were, when they changed the laws and they could bring it back into the States again.
Mm-hmm.
They did that in one of our local liquor stores. So I did an alcohol a drink making class, teaching people how to make drinks during the pandemic. And so one of them required absinthe. And I was like, okay, absinthe, here's what it is. You could get the mock absinthe if you don't want to spend the money. That's okay. But if you really want the experience, get the whatever. One of the liquor stores by us, they had on the shelf the tag for the fake absinthe, but they had the real stuff in its place. So I was looking at it, I'm like, $13, but that's the real stuff that goes for $60 or $70 minimum. So I grabbed one or two of them, and then when I got home, I had to double check. It's like, did I screw this up? And I didn't. And our friends messaged us. It's like, hey, at the liquor store over here, we found this. We bought 3 bottles of it. Within a week, that entire shelf was empty. And then we saw that they had taken the tag off, and they didn't get it again. So like somebody somewhere screwed up. Like they ordered the expensive stuff and they put the tag up for the cheap stuff. So
wow. Did you enjoy the absinthe though?
Yeah, I enjoyed the absinthe. I like I've always liked black licorice flavors. So, Jägermeister and that stuff. One of my favorite drinks is the Jäg Bomb, where it's it's Jägermeister and Red Bull. There's also one that my friend made that's the same thing, but it also has Cherry Dr. McGillicuddy's in it. So it's Cherry Dr. McGillicuddy's, Jägermeister, and Red Bull, and that's also freaking amazing. So
that's gonna definitely make you all warm inside.
Yeah, Sunstrider says that's how a wine changes based on where grapes are grown. Oh, talking about the sugar cane. Yeah, yeah. The wine changes based on where the grapes are grown and the weather for the year. For sure, for sure.
Yeah, so we talk about that, Dazzle. My favorite wine comes from a region in France. It's the Bordeaux region. It's red wine, and it's typically like a Merlot / Cab or mixed blend. But they call it Bordeaux because the grapes that grow from that soil are very, very peculiar. So then they taste, when they're aged, immaculate. I mean, one of my favorite wines from the Bordeaux region is Chateau de Pau, which is a castle of 8 berries. And it's all the berries are grown in the region of France. So I could definitely go with that one. That, yeah, to add on to what Nick was saying about the sugar canes in Barbados and the local ingredients really affect that as much. Just like Bordeaux wines, they were fantastic as well. Highly recommend Bordeaux wines.
Nice, nice. Lyric says black licorice is dim flavor. Are you going to add anything to your cider? Yes, I'm making cider to keep it from going to vinegar. Or are you just going to go with O2 reduction? That's a very good question, Lyric. I hadn't thought about that. So I don't know. They're all currently sitting in their secondary fermentation. And I was just in the back of my mind, I was like, once the yeast is done eating all the sugar, there will be no sugar left. And all we have to do is worry about it settling, you know, getting the clarity to drop as the yeast drops out. I didn't even think about it accidentally turning into vinegar on me. So I'm glad you mentioned that. And I will definitely have to look into what I need to do to keep it from turning into vinegar.
That's a thing, huh? Post maintenance after you uncork or open a bottle. I didn't know the ciders go that way. It's like, I haven't had too much cider aside from like I know White Claw stuff is not cider, right?
No, that's a seltzer.
Okay, that's a seltzer. Is it cider like a mead?
Cider is like a kind of like usually a carbonated mead, but it's made out of apples instead of honey.
Okay, because I enjoy mead very, very much.
The process is pretty much the same. You crush the stuff, you get the juice out, you add your yeast, you let it ferment, and then you drink it. But with the cider, a lot of people like it carbonated, but you don't have to carbonate it. But okay. I'm doing a yeast-based carbonation. So after it's done fermenting, you transfer it into your bottles, and then we added a little bit of honey to it, and then you put the cap on, and then that honey, the yeast feeds on the honey, and
you're making these
and creates carbonation, and that's sealed, and that carbonation just stays in there until you open it and drink it. So the plan was just to do that and let it sit, but now I'm like, is it going to turn into vinegar on me? How do I keep it from turning into vinegar? What causes the vinegar? Oh no! Thank you. So thank you, Lyric, from possibly saving our entire 5, 6, 7.5 gallons of cider that we've been making.
Wow.
So yeah, yesterday, I think it was yesterday. Yesterday we did 5 gallons. We collected the apples, we crushed them, we pressed them, we filtered them, we pasteurized them. I added the yeast today, and now it's just sitting there. So I got to go a week for the first fermentation, and then we'll bottle it for secondary.
How long does it take to make that cider? Sorry, I didn't even know you were making cider. So it's like, whoa,
yeah, it's like a week for the primary fermentation is about a week, give or take, and then the secondary at minimum can be like a week, but it'll be cloudy and it'll still taste a little yeasty because you have the yeast in there. Mm-hmm. But then if you let it sit, as the yeast particles separate from the rest of it, it'll become clear. So the longer it sits, the clearer it becomes. But yeah, I don't really. Now I'm like, how do I keep the cider thing from happening? Because everything I read doesn't say anything about cider happening. So.
Oh, there we go. And this from Redneck right here. Check this out, buddy.
The first wine I had was in Paris, some red wine. Didn't like it at the time. I think like all alcohols, it takes time. Original Thai beer.
Yes, I'm Thai, and this is for Redneck who loves to just chill and have a beer. I figured I'd just have a beer with it as well.
Nice.
What's the dudes? First time I was in Paris, some red wine. Didn't like it at the time. I think wine's a really acquired taste.
Yeah, I think it is. Depending on the wine too, though, right?
Yeah,
I think
it's
that's
really
why I
dependent on
like
the wine.
Rieslings, because I tried wines and I didn't like them. And then I tried a Riesling and I was like, oh, this is really good. I like this.
I think another big thing that goes associated with wine is the environment, not the environment, the occasion of when you're drinking it has a big play onto when you'll like wine or not like wine.
Yeah.
It's almost what they say about sake when you drink sake.
Yeah.
So it's you're having a good day, it'll taste great. If you're having a bad day, it'll be nasty. But wine would be almost in the same way. It's on occasion where people remember drinking wine versus just to drink wine, like how we would just drink beer.
Yeah, right. Sunstrider says, I prefer Burgundy, but I was spoiled by spending 2 months in the region. Sadly, Burgundies are starting to be appreciated more and more expensive like Bordeaux have been. Ooh.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Hello, Classic Sam. Welcome on in. Thank you for joining us. We keep ours fresh, frozen. When I was little, we would have some in glass jugs in the back porch to sparkle on its own. Never added any yeast.
For the pod.
But if it sat too long, it would turn into apple cider vinegar. Oh. I think, and I thought that cider, and I didn't do any research, but for some reason in my mind, I was thinking that vinegar in the cider came from a certain type of yeast, but I don't know. So I will have to research into what it is, because I was thinking about actually making some apple cider vinegar. Funny enough, I was just going to pour some of because I have apple cider vinegar you buy with the stuff in it, so it's active, and I was just like, I'll just pour it into the apple cider and cap it off, and it'll turn it into vinegar, and I'll have my own. But acetic acid producing yeast, probably the naturally existing yeast. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Anything really bitter and good to cook in a pan with steak works for me.
Oh.
For like Cabernets. I hopped ahead, so I jumped ahead in the chat. Wobbin Goblin says, I love Cabernets, but anything really bitter and good to cook in a pan with a steak works for me. I oftentimes, since I do a lot of liquor, a lot of cocktails, I should say, I oftentimes have, now I can't think of the name of it. It's technically a wine, or like maybe more of like a champagne, but it's used in a lot of cocktails. And now I can't think of the name of it. You see it in a lot of like martinis.
Vermouth. In the martinis, it's a gin pairing with vermouth.
Vermouth, that's the word. That's the word for it.
There it is, yeah.
So oftentimes, because vermouth doesn't stay good for a really long time, and sometimes like I'll buy vermouth, but I'll only use like a quarter of it or half of it if I'm making a martini or something. I don't do martinis very often, but I like to have it on hand for people who do, or for other cocktails that require it. And so every once in a while, when it's been like a year, I'm like, well, I'm gonna put the vermouth over here, and I'm gonna use it like I use a wine in cooking. So oftentimes, like our stews and stuff like that will have a vermouthish flavor to it. Hey, that's our timer is up song. What were you gonna say?
Your community is very knowledgeable in the fine arts of creating these delicious drinks, by the way, which is
I love
you guys.
I love the food and the culinary and tasting and alcohol knowledge base that our community has. It's really cool, and everybody has different tastes, and that's super awesome. Lyric says, well, I've never been a fan of oaky or tannin heavy wine or hoppy or bitter dark beer. I like sweet and light and fruity. But I grant that Guinness makes a fantastic chocolate cake. Nice. Lyric is good at everything. Lyric is good at everything. Lyric is our resident jack of all trades and master of all. Just the other day. So like, it's like, oh, she needs a music. So you guys have heard the intro song, the Muppets intro song, or our Hype Train song. Those were both done by Lyric.
Oh wow!
So she does that, and then she posts all of these like she's like cooking something. You're like, is this a cookbook? Did you take this picture out of a cookbook? No, it's just something she made for fun. Like, yeah, it's whatever. And then she's like crafting. She's like, oh yeah, I knitted this amazing. And you're like, that should be in a store. That should be sold in a store with a UPC by a mass-produced company. No, she just made it from hand, just kind of for funsies. And I, Jesus Christ. And then the other day, I'm like, just when I thought that Lyric couldn't do everything more already, she goes and I'm like, I made a joke. It wasn't a joke. I made a statement. I said, oh man, I would really love if I could get this as an emote. At some point, I'm going to set aside some time and go find it and get it and edit it and put it together. And like 15 minutes later, she sends it to me. And I was like, you kidding? Are you kidding? There, that's it. That's the one.
Yep.
That's the one. So by the way, guys, Tangia is up and running. It should be, so you guys should be able to redeem anything in the Tangia alerts as well if you want to do anything. Speaking of that alert, because that's where I first saw that clip, and I heard the song, and I became addicted to this Pedro song that accompanies that. And I was like, I need that as a emote. And eventually I will add Pedro as a channel point redeem as opposed to the otherwise. All right. So we're going to start our potluck, guys. Whatever you guys want to talk about. If you have questions for either of us or things you want to talk about, we're going to start off. Earlier on, Mr. Beetlejuice came in and said, have you guys seen the new Beetlejuice movie? If so, what are your thoughts? I have not yet seen it. I still haven't seen Deadpool Wolverine yet, which is really bugging me, but finances make it difficult to go see movies. So I haven't seen either of them, and I want to see both of them. There it is. See those emotes, guys. Here we go. Thank you, Lyric, for the Pedro. Thank you, Sunstrider, for the apology.
Yeah, I have not seen the new Beetlejuice movie either, nor have I seen the new Deadpool Wolverine one either. But I did watch the original Beetlejuice this past week. Just a reminder again that Michael Keaton's always been a badass.
Yeah, speaking of...
He doesn't go chasing waterfalls.
Speaking of retro, yeah, Michael Keaton is awesome. When there was a point in time where Michael Keaton kind of like... I don't want to say he dropped off the scene, but there was a while there where like he wasn't really doing anything really super substantial. And then all of a sudden there's this like resurgent. He did the Owlman movie, which is, it's not, it wasn't a spoof. It wasn't a spoof on him playing Batman, but it was kind of, that was the idea, right? Like he was playing an actor who played this legendary superhero character, and then something happened to his career. But then like after that, like then he was a bad guy in one of the Marvel movies, and it's just like started to pick up. And then he came back and reprised his role as Batman, and now he's reprising his role of Beetlejuice, and it's been a fun ride watching him reprise some of these roles.
Absolutely. The last time, and I know what you're talking about, that little gap in his career. So the last movie I saw before his return in would be like the Vulture in the Spider-Man series.
Yeah.
It was the last time I saw him. Or actually, like Birdman. Birdman was right before that.
Birdman, that was the one. Yeah.
The movie before Birdman would be, for me, Multiplicity.
Yeah. It was a great movie, though.
The last time I saw him was Multiplicity, and then after that, he just disappeared.
Yeah.
And then he came in The Other Guys, co-starring alongside Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg, named Birdman. And now he's this big DC Marvel actor now. He's just really good now. Again, I mean, he's always been good. It's just
right.
I'm glad to see him back.
Yeah, it's nice to see him in the main, more in the mainstream. He had that McDonald's movie too. There was a movie where it was like
Founder,
he was like the McDonald's guy.
Yeah, The Founder.
Wasn't there a horror movie too that came out? I think there was a horror movie that he like was in the original, and people kind of forget that he was in the horror movie, and it became like, I want to say that it became like a big, like chain, like some sort of horror movie, not Scream, but something of that nature. It was like a or maybe a Paranormal Activity or something like that. That he was like in the first one, and it did really well, and like they've spawned a ton of movies. People in the chat maybe can help out. Yeah, I do like that new dungeon, by the way, Lyric. What?
Not to be mistaken with Bruce Campbell, right? We all know Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, we do know. No, Bruce Campbell. Yeah, Bruce Campbell.
Because I'm just thinking in my head, like, what other series could we just?
All right, let's Google it. Let's Google Michael Keaton horror. We're gonna Google it. Michael Keaton horror movie. Hello, Ninja. How's it going? White Noise. That's it. White Noise.
Oh, never seen it.
I never saw it either, but
I this is giant my horror.
Yeah, you love horror movies.
Genre
You
is
love
just
Don't you love horror movies? Isn't that your favorite?
backgrounded. Woo!
So what you're saying is we need to get you to play Phasmophobia with us.
I played Phasmophobia for a little bit, but you know, it's all right. It's not the same type of scare that I would get from like watching horror movies.
Okay, have you played Mortuary Assistant?
Yeah, that's more of the horror that I'm talking about right there. I watched a lot of it, and I was like, man, that shit's crazy, man.
I will not. I don't think I will ever play. Okay, I can't say that officially, but it is very unlikely that you guys will ever get me to see me play Mortuary Assistant ever again. Ever again.
Yeah. There's that one. Visage is one that I've watched a lot of. It still scares the crap out of me.
I haven't played that one yet. I hear that I should.
Ooh,
I've been told that that's a big jump scare. I want to have the ones that have the jump scary moments just so I can make a special jump scare stream for people to torture me with.
Visage, right there, right up your alley. It's based around a PT, which was an old game that was released by Konami, done by Kojima. And it's just about circling your house, and it just changes as you go through it over and over again. It's really crazy.
Interesting. I think Redneck Jedi told me about that I need to play Visage as well.
Yeah, Visage is a big win. I haven't played it. I just watch people play it, but I do want to play it just for probably what I might do for Halloween, but we'll figure it out.
Have you played Summer 58 yet? I played Summer 58 on stream. That's a good one. Summer 58 is a pretty good one.
What is that like?
It's a super short game.
Slasher?
You could finish it in one. You could finish it in one stream.
Run.
Yeah.
So you can experience that. I'll take a note of that there, so we just have someone else play that as I watch.
Yeah, Summer 58 it's a nice short. Everything from Amica Games is fairly good as far as jump scare. So you'll get Summer 58. I'm counting to 10. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones, but Summer 58 I think is like one of the ones that people know the most. What was the one God, there was another one I played. I've played 3 or 4 of the Amica games, and they're all pretty good. Finding Yourself is another one. I pretty much will play all of the Amica games at this point for specialty jump scares, but oftentimes I also realize that I have to make sure I have a backup plan. Because if I finish it in 2 hours, then I still have a couple hours of a stream left to go. So, because that's happened, I think that's happened for 2 of those games where I finished it in like 2 hours. And it's just really intense. You don't know what's going to happen. They're really good about timing where things go, making things creepy, and having you not know when something's going to scare the crap out of you. And it tells a story too. It's also, they all have this really good story. So
that sounds like something that would scare the poop out of me.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. This is where it's talking about horror since October's coming up anyway.
Yeah.
Like my big bridge between these horror movies and how much space I have in between them, like the last horror movies I actually really enjoyed that I thought were scary were like Dolls, Puppet Master series, and of those 90s, Chucky. Up until like number 3 or 4 anyway. I thought it started ridiculous. But anything with dolls, that's like
like me, you did not like the Poltergeist movie, I assume.
No, I did not.
that is still to this day. I don't care what movies they come out with. Still to this day, that is the movie that doesn't matter how many times I watch it. It still scares me shitless every time I watch it. The original Poltergeist. Yeah, that's nope. I can watch it. I've watched in the 80s. I watched all the horror movies. I had friends who were like, oh, they had the premium channels, and so we'd always watch the scary horror movies all the time. When I was a kid, I loved them. Now I'm like, nope, I don't need to see these. Okay, it's a Bruce Campbell. Okay, I'll go see Bruce. Okay, it's a Bruce Campbell. I'll go see that horror movie. Sounds good. It's a remake of Evil Dead. Sure, let's go watch that. That was a bad idea, but okay, we watched it.
The remake was like more horrific than the original itself.
Yeah. Well, and you also got to keep in mind the times, what they had. I always felt that the puppeteering monsters and the puppeteering special effects were always scarier than CG.
Same. Yeah, I really enjoyed.
Like you watch the first one or two Freddy's, especially the first Freddy. There are moments in there, and you're like, "That is genuinely scary as hell." That is. He gets these big, long, creepy arms that are doing this with the light behind him, and it's like it's a practical effect. And I'm like, that is terrifying. Then you get like Freddy versus Jason, and you get like the CGI thing. It's like, yeah, that's dumb.
Yeah, the long neck Freddy's freaks me out too. Still. Oh my gosh, Nightmare on Elm Street just rocked my brains too. Oh,
that's my favorite horror series of all time.
Shoo.
I love Freddy. Man. I love the actor that plays him. He is a genius, by the way. If you ever watch interviews with him, it's crazy. He is so smart. I wish he had done more than a bunch of B movies.
Wow.
Just compare the original Lord of the Rings to The Hobbit. Yeah, that's true. Much less impressive and impactful. Yeah.
Yeah, puppeteering is there. Aliens, even the Alien and Aliens, when they used puppeteering as well.
Right.
For that was just super more immaculate than current Aliens.
I haven't even watched this new Romulus. This new Romulus, though, I want to see. When that comes out on whatever streaming, digital, whatever, I'm going to watch Romulus. I haven't watched the last couple of them just because I haven't been interested in all. That one makes me feel like it's the original movie again.
Ooh. I guess I did have to watch that one too. I was a big fan. I really enjoyed the Alien 1 and 2, Alien and Aliens.
Predator. I like the original Predator. The other one was the one where he's in the big city with Donald Glover.
Danny Glover.
Danny Glover, yeah. It's like, It was okay. It was cool to see some of the extra stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, it's city though. It's different there. No. I mean, it was better than like part 3 and.
There's a third one?
Aliens versus. I think that was the third one. What do they call it? Was it Aliens versus Predators?
Oh yeah. There was an Aliens versus Predator. And that was okay.
Was that number 3? Yeah, it was okay.
It was okay. I didn't mind that one so much. There was a card game that came out that was Aliens. It was an Aliens versus Predator game. Yeah, you could play one of multiple Predators. You could either play the aliens or you could play like the soldiers, the like Space Marines. And it was a multiplayer card game, and like the space station or whatever would grow, and everybody had different objectives. So if you were the Predator, you had to get so many kills and get out alive. If you were the Predator and you got to be, and the more gear you had, the higher your score had to be. So if you had like all this gear, then you had to kill a lot of people, and then you had to move and you had to escape without getting killed. And I think the Aliens was you just had to be the only one left alive. And the Space Marines were, you couldn't let the Predator escape, and you had to eliminate the Queen or something along those lines.
That sounds like a lot of work to be a Space Marine. Oh my god.
Yeah, and so but there would be multiple Space Marines, right? Multiple people would be playing them, and the thing is the Space Marines, they were all on a team, if I recall.
Okay, and then Aliens are probably just solo or something.
Everybody, the Predators. If there were 5 Predators, all the Predators were on their own. So like you get Predators killing other Predators, you get Aliens killing aliens, and you could play different types of different beings of the alien, so you could be the Queen, and then your objective would be different, if I recall. Keep in mind this is the 90s, so I don't really remember all of it. All I remember is I was like, wait, so as a Predator it's based on the gear you had, so I picked a kid like the youngest, smallest of the Predators, and I gave them like one thing because I was like, I can kill a human with this, and all I have to do is kill one Space Marine. Great. And so like I went in and I moved, and people didn't even think on it. I'm like moving around, and I killed somebody, and then I left, and I'm like, game's over. And they're like, it's only been 2 rounds. I'm like, you're 3 rounds. I was like, Sorry. And the next thing I know, everybody.
Really tactician.
Yeah. Every time we played, it's like, okay, let's just get him out first because all he has to do is one simple thing and get out. But it was a fun game. It was memorable.
Yeah.
Did you play any of those kind of games as a kid? Any like card games, stuff like that? Magic the Gathering in your youth?
Play a lot of MTG.
Yeah.
Growing up, I guess
Netrunner.
When I was big on playing Magic the Gathering, it was in alpha and beta.
Yeah.
So those first series that go into there, like Black Lotus and.
Don't you wish you had one right now?
And all that. No.
You don't wish you had a Black Lotus right now in your possession.
I do wish I did, actually. You're right. It's really expensive, especially with their mint. So I sold all our Magic the Gathering cards between me and brother, and we got about like $2,600 for our sets. And this was back in like 99, 2000. And it's because they were just sitting around, we just wanted this stuff. And if we held on to it, it'd actually be like about like $10,000 worth of stuff now.
Way more than the Black Lotus. The Black Lotus alone is like $50K.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even sure we had Black Lotus. That's probably my brother's little treasures. About, like, typical.
Yeah, I think the dual lands go. I think the dual lands that were in those sets. I think the dual lands go for like $5 to $10K a piece.
Damn,
or something like that. Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm thinking about the underground waterways now. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Right. Right. Yeah, crazy how much they are. It's like if you I saw online that an unopened case of beta sold for like 3 million.
Holy shit.
Or something like that, ridiculous. And I was like, man. And I might be doing Nick math here. Nick math is where your numbers are completely wrong and you're rounding up or rounding down. But it was just a lot. It was a lot.
It was a certain amount of money. I mean, at the time, right? There was no internet. There wasn't really large access to information, whatever not. So at the time when we were actually playing, it's like we're opening up cards and booster packs or giant boxes of booster packs just to play, you know. That's what we were looking for. We weren't trying to collect. So it's just way different how, damn, they just kept the whole, oh my gosh.
Right. Okay, so there is a booster pack. A booster pack was sold for 10,000. An unopened booster pack, 10,000.
A booster box?
No, pack.
Back then, was
yeah.
only like $125.
Yeah, right.
From your local comic store.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Ridiculous.
And I'm talking about, this is just a pack, not a box. This is one of the packs in the box. 10,000. Because if you bought it, because you don't know you're in a pack, you don't know what you're gonna get. If you got the box, you knew you were gonna get at least one of every card.
Yeah, right there. It's close into there. I mean, all I remember from booster pack time was your third card's your rare, and then your third card's your rare, and then you have your third card's are rare. That's all I remember, and everything else is just random as hell. Man, that's crazy.
I oftentimes people often say, if you had a time machine and you could do one thing,
I was literally gonna beat that up right now.
What would you do? It's like, and I'm like, I'd go back and I'd buy a bunch of them, and then and you can't bring anything back with you, but it'd be like, I'd go back and I'd buy a bunch of them and I'd put them in like a storage, a time shatters storage capsule, and then just like hide the key somewhere, and then just like let myself come, then when I come back, here's the key. I'm a millionaire.
Yeah. I mean, you could always go back and get the lotto.
Yeah, but then everybody knows that you won the lotto.
Yeah, you might not live, actually. You're right. Yep, you're right. Yeah, no, Magic the Gathering cards.
That was my thought. It's like, this way you could do it, and like you put it in an auction anonymously or whatever, or you sell the cards one at a time on eBay or whatever.
Yeah, they wouldn't know.
Nobody would know. Nobody would know. I mean, some people might know, but... Or you just open up you pay for a booth at a convention, right? and you go there and you seal all, you take all the cards, you put them into the plastic wrap, you have them there for sale, and then you just sell them one at a time. Oh, it's like, yeah, whatever, whatever. I would have bought a pallet of it. I would have bought a pallet of beta. Be like, buy a pallet of it, just store it, and then every year I just sell a case, once a year until they're all gone.
Right? I was like, I need to make a
donate a couple to charity.
Actually, Magic, little pieces of cardboard. I swear, you're amazing.
You can remember all the parents that would like throw them away and be like, "This is horrible. You don't do this." And, parents that would like,
"It's gonna be worth anything in the future.
This isn't worth anything. Quit wasting your money on this." And those parents now like,
my money on this.
Right? Oh damn! Who knew? Who knew?
What was aside from that, though, I did grow up with another game. It was a board game. It was sort of like D&D because I'd actually been introduced to D&D when I was really young. But it was we lay out a board, and then you would put these creatures or mobs that's cut out of cardboard into these little stands. I'm not sure it's Darker Dungeon something. And then you'd move them by square, and you would roll dice to go through the board game.
Was it just called Dungeon?
I don't know. It could be. I just remember the layouts and dice being involved, red dice particularly, and cutouts.
That scared me.
How about jump scares?
I got jump scared by that. Lyric says we had that original game called Dungeon. Yeah, they remade it recently. Wizards of the Coast had the rights and redid it. So you have to look it up and see if that's the game. The original Dungeon. Red said I make someone fake Yu-Gi-Oh cards because I didn't have any money for the real ones. The one deck I have, I got from a friend. He made a deck for me out of cards he had. I made some fake ones after that. I made some fake Magic the Gathering cards back in the day. But they were just like they were obviously fake, but I did them for funsies in school in Photoshop because I had learned Photoshop. And so I made my own that had I made a version of myself. And I made a white card and a black card. So there's a version of myself, and then there was another. So there was the good version, and then there's the one, and I had dressed up as the Crow. And it was a picture of me dressed up as the Crow from the movie. Was my black card, and I don't even remember what the abilities I put on it, but yeah, I made a few of my own cards. You trying to figure out what that game is?
I am. It is not Dungeon though.
Okay.
This is more of like a grayer, sort of monochromy type of board, and they had cutouts that go on these plastic holders. I just typed that in. I'm seeing a bunch of games actually like this now.
Red says he just found the pictures online and printed them off. Never did tournaments, but you just played at lunch during school. Nice. I did a couple tournaments, Magic the Gathering. I actually went to regionals. I didn't do well at all because I didn't, Magic the Gathering was the person with the most money wins. That's how it became at tournaments eventually. You had to have enough money to buy all the cards you wanted and then play in a tournament when 4 months later, the entire rules would change or the entire sets would change and what you could use. So you'd have to dump, another $500 just to make whatever the new deck was that you wanted to build. And I say that, and here I am I played the Highlander card game. Do you ever play that one or hear of that one?
I did not actually.
It was based on the TV show and movies, like the Highlander. There can be only one, and it was a card game, and it was freaking awesome. It was really cool. So
there can only be one, friend.
There can be only one. Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez, Chief Metallurgist.
I enjoyed both Highlander 1 and Highlander 2, to be honest with you.
I don't hate.
I don't think people don't like the Highlander 2 too much.
Here's the thing. It's along those lines of if you saw the second one first, you don't like the first one. Because it's a completely different universe, it's a completely different story. Unless you watch the edited version, they have a director's cut. And I forget what it's called, but it cuts out all of the I'm from another universe thing it takes all of that out and puts it more in the context of, it takes place after the first one, 100 years later or whatever. So, yeah, I was a big Highlander fan. Always was, always will be. I'm looking forward to the new one.
Even the TV shows.
I hope
there's a new one coming out.
Yes. Henry Cavill is the Highlander.
No, The Witcher is out here being the Highlander now.
He's going to be the Highlander.
Man, he's my hero.
The casting has changed 3 or 4 times. For a while, it was Ryan Reynolds was in the role. And Henry Cavill, I can see Henry Cavill, but I don't see Henry Cavill being the underdog. Not unless they get the actor who played the Mountain to play the Kurgan. So, how are they? I don't know.
I think Henry Cavill already proved himself in the original 2 seasons of The Witcher. He could fill in that type of role.
But he doesn't. He's so massive and I don't see him being the underdog. Know what I'm saying?
Oh, he's definitely gonna be an underdog. You're right.
It's hard. It's hard to see Superman be the because he's built like a shit brick house. Don't get me wrong, and I love Henry Cavill just as much as the next girl, but.
Yeah, and he comes from our roots too. He was a D&D board while playing person.
Yeah, still is. Yeah,
that's just the main.
Apparently, he almost missed the audition. I don't know if you've heard this. So he had his audition for Superman
because of DVD.
And he almost missed it because he was on a World of Warcraft raid. He was raiding. And he almost forgot the audition, and he didn't know what the audition was for.
Oh man, he's legendary for that one. But he made it to the audition though.
Yeah, I do as well. Wino, do you have anyone you would like us to raid?
Wow. Let's see what type of continue our content here, right?
Because I know that there are people that you are friends with, people in the Black Hollow that I might not necessarily know. Maybe there are some that I don't. Oh, there's a Tangia dungeon. Oh, that's a new one. I haven't seen that one yet. Exclamation mark join to join.
Yeah.
While Wino looks for someone for us to raid, I want to let you guys know we'll be back tomorrow. We're going to do some Once Human again tomorrow. We are going to do more Dark and Darker this week as well. That's going to be on Thursday. Wednesday, we return for the last leg of the Old School 3 tabletop role-playing. That's going to be on Wednesday. And Friday, we're going to have a super early morning stream. I don't know what we're going to do. It's going to be we're looking 9 o'clock a.m., short little chill in the morning and have some coffee stream. So Friday's going to be earlier than usual, much earlier than usual on Friday. So come along and join us all week this week for all of those amazing, awesome streams. I'm sure Wino is going to be streaming as well. Are you doing some Hollow Knight still?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna take a break from that one just because I was smashing my brain against the wall for some time, just trying to fight this one boss, and I'll probably just go back into doing Liza P because I love the story of Pinocchio, and the game is very amazing.
Yeah,
highly recommend it to anyone who's interested in those type of Soulsborne games.
Maybe some more Street Fighter at some point.
Yeah, back burner on that one. I'm waiting for particular characters to come out for me to really enjoy them anymore. So I keep on clicking on your freaking stream. Hey, gotta get one. Let's go to Epic Realms right here.
Yeah, we'll do this one. Wait, no, that's where we're already at there. If there's not anybody that really stands out to you, I can grab somebody. I've got a huge list.
Why don't you go ahead and pick someone there? For my list, I do have a lot of people I've watched, but it's not gonna be here to fit this what we've been doing here. I have retro player here, but then they play with Jordan Mass for the first time. Then I'm like,
Well, we are just going to, since we love all of the people and all the community creators that we have here. But there's this dude who we all know and love. Many of us know and love. He just got ambassador for Twitch. Awesome guy and I love rating him on Mondays because he's always doing my microscopy Monday. The one and only science stream, Balint over there is looking at things under the microscope. So we're going to raid on over to him. So please go and make sure to check him out. Thank you guys so much for being here. Go and check out Wino all the time right here on Twitch. We're going to be doing some charities. Tell us, before we do the raid, repeat for us again when the charity is and what the charity is for this upcoming month.
That's right. October 18th to the 20th, we'll be having a third annual raid train here for the Kiva Breast Foundation. Kiva Breast Foundation is a foundation that helps fight against breast cancer through efficacy and also using art. In some instances of the art they use, they do sculptings of people's buses through clay or paper mache or some type of form of art. And it's always post effect of what breast cancer could do to you. And that's how they push advocacy. They're also one of the first foundations to create an app for the younger generation to help teach you how to self-test for any type of breast cancer or anything else like that. So we'll be helping them raise money again, October 18th to the 20th, through a variety of channels on here on the Twitch platform. I'm sure Nick will be able to reach out to you with the schedules if you're interested.
Yep.
If you want to participate, well, feel free to contact me here. You can just follow me by clicking on my name down here in the title and give me a follow, and then you can go ahead and message me through there. If not, you message us directly on DMs, either through the same name or directly through Realms here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, I know you'll be doing that. Octavius will be doing that. Bentley, I think you said Roddy Mama, Daco and Miso are part of that as well. We saw Drag Vega in here earlier. He does that. Arcade Chris, I'm assuming, maybe I assume that Arcade Chris is going to be part of that. Love Arcade Chris as well. So just all kinds of people as part of that, and just some amazing creative people. I can't wait. Sadly, I will be out of town because that is our anniversary weekend, but I hope everybody has a great time on that show and enjoys the hell out of all the amazing content that everyone's going to be doing there. There's the link, guys. Click that heart. If you don't already follow Wino, do it now. For crying out loud. If you're not doing it, what's wrong with you?
Thank you.
With that being said, guys, we're going to ride on out to Science Streams. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you for the hype train. Thank you, DM Wolf, for the raid. And, of course, thank you, Wino, for joining me on Off the Pod.
It was a pleasure.
Have a good one, guys, everyone. Take care, and we will see you tomorrow.